All righty. What is good, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there as well. And we will be ripping a Dynasty Superflex half tight end premium start 10 mock draft here. I will drop the link in the YouTube chat for all of you guys to join. Danny, I'm going to send you in the private chat really quick so you don't get locked out. But yeah, we're going to tackle this this startup mock draft, and then we do have a couple of team reviews, I think 3 or 4 team reviews, and then a bunch of trade questions to go over on the site as well. Yeah, if you guys want a team review or a trade question covered, if you submitted one already, we are going to cover that. And if you do want to submit one throughout the stream, in the second hour of the stream is when we'll be covering those teams. And I will drop the link if you guys do want to submit a team review or submit a trade question. I will drop that in the chat as well.
Sure.
But yeah, last day reminder for people as you guys file in here. If you do want to join a league with us, we are starting our DEVY league today. Well, we are drawing names for our DEVY league today. We're going to draw 7 or 8 spots for a couple of you guys to join us in the league. And for those of you guys that are unfamiliar how DEVY works, essentially we're going to do a 6-round DEVY startup where we draft 6 college football players each. And it's going to be a really fun dynamic as far as like how the draft order is decided, because in addition to the Dynasty startup order, which is obviously the part that we're showcasing here, you also can kind of select where you want to pick in the DEVY draft. And of course, if you guys are familiar with DEVY, you know there's a couple of really big names up top. But also, I told Jared about this, Danny. Let me know what you think. I thought the best way to balance...
I know you're going to say, you told me too.
Everybody's going to want Jeremiah Smith. Realistically, you get number 1 in the Derby, you're going to pick the first DEVY pick, because the difference between Jeremiah Smith, the first DEVY pick, and the 12th DEVY pick versus the difference between the first startup pick and the 12th startup pick is a little bit different. But what I told you was we're not going to do 3rd round reversal, so that it gives some people an incentive maybe to take the Dynasty asset, because if you want one of those top quarterbacks, you're suddenly now getting an advantage, as you often bring up over the rest of your league mates who are picking near the end of the first round.
Spoiler alert. I can already, actually, I'm not even going to say this. I hope somebody messes up in terms of where they pick in the Derby order, because I think there's a very clear order, at least at the top.
Yeah, no, I think the interesting thing too is that the Derby order will snake. So if you select the first DEVY pick, you are now getting the 24th selection of where you pick in the Dynasty draft. So let's say like the 107 in the Dynasty draft is the last thing that people say. That would be what you're stuck with there. So
hey, AJ, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, coming in last in the Derby or whatever, or picking like the 112 might not be the worst strategy, because you might get a top 6 DEVY pick and also a top 6 selection of where you want in the Dynasty draft, assuming everybody kind of goes somewhere in the middle with each of their selections. So a lot of strategy when it comes to the actual Derby, which is going to be a lot of fun. And for those of you guys that are wondering about like details and whatnot, everything is linked in the Google form in the description of this live stream. So annual Motherflocker code users on the site will have 5 times the chances of free users. But if you guys are free users trying to get a chance to get in the league, I believe the last startup that we did, 1 or 2 people got in for free without being a subscriber to the site. Okay, we got everybody in the draft here.
Let's go smooth.
One more time, I'll go over
Happy Father's Day.
I'm going to go over the league format here of the startup that we're doing here. 2 flexes, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 quarterback here, or 2 quarterbacks. Sorry, is this a start 10 right now, or is it start 9? This is a start 10, so we got to add a receiver spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Start 11.
Is that a start 11 now or a start 10? I can't count.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
11, 9, 10. There we go. All right, we're good.
Oh, I thought you had 3 flexes.
No. 2 flexes and a super flex, and we're good. All right, we're going to randomize the draft order, and we shall get into this. This one is, because we're about to do a draft that's not a 3rd round reversal, I did not make this one a 3rd round reversal, just so everybody's aware. But yeah, going to be a lot of fun, and let's fire into it.
Yes, sir. Do you have some comments as well?
5, and I got the 1-8 here.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Yeah, I appreciate that, Smooth, even though I'm not a father, so I don't know why I said appreciate that, because that's not me.
I'm an unk. Does that count?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you are indeed unk.
I am literally an unk, too. Like, I do have...
Whoa! Chase over Lamar. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that. With that being said, I will take Jalen Hurts here. Non-3rd round reversal, so I'm comfortable with potential the flex talent that could fall back to me, and do want to get my anchor here. So don't mind that.
Whoa. Danny's taking a Philadelphia Eagle here. What's going on? I thought you'd have Jalen Hurts ranked. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, man, everybody's discourse on Twitter these days on Jalen Hurts is really annoying me. Like Jalen Hurts is like the 32nd best quarterback in the league, dude. Like, don't you know this? He's just a landing spot merchant or whatever.
He ain't on Dak's level, but he is underrated based on some of the comments I've seen. Like some of the stuff is outrageous. Like
some of it's outrageous. Like
people were saying like two
ranked over him. And I'm like, come on now, guys. Like, let's get real.
DEVY League is a lineup league we're planning on, by the way.
Yeah, I'm on the clock right now, and I'm actually just deciding who I want to go with because Burrow would have absolutely been my selection because he's my 105 in my rankings. Danny, you're not going to get to see me do the thing that we had an argument about. I'm not going to take Bijan because I do actually have one player ranked ahead of him, and that would be Malik Neighbors. So that is who I'm going to go with in my draft here. Unfortunately, I end up getting my 7th overall player at the 8th overall spot. Not a whole lot of value for me to chase there. The only guy that went ahead for me was Jefferson, who I have ranked immediately after Bijan at 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty straightforward draft so far, other than Chase going 103, which I think was a little bit of a shock. Nothing else too surprising here. I do have Nakua. I do probably have to move Nakua up because I did move him up in my redraft rankings. So I think given his age, I probably should move him up a little bit in my startup rankings.
Well, how high? Because I think he's like, there's a pretty clear top 4. If you want to put him 5, I think that's about like
not among wide receivers. I had him as my 16th overall player, and gotcha. I think I would be comfortable kind of taking him right at that 1-2 turn area, depending on, if you wanted to go with a Gibbs or a Genty, if you'd rather go wide receiver. I think he's definitely in that territory for me.
It's so weird hearing you actually high on Puka, knowing the arguments that we have had on Puka in the past.
I just think I was being a sand eater, to be honest. I part of me is just like, is he actually good? But like, he absolutely is. Like, he's really good.
It's steppable. What's up? I'm through 5 rounds of my own startup. Hurts, Puka, T-Mac, Travis Hunter, Chase Brown. What should I be attacking the other rounds? I think it's a very good start. You insulated Hurts around some very, very good wide receiver talent. You got your RB1 there. Maybe a little rich for my blood on Chase. Like I would have wanted him in the 6th round, especially given the range of running back. But I mean, overall, I think that's a very good start. You get a competing quarterback, and this team's definitely a contender in year 1.
Yeah, I wish we weren't in the way every time. Okay, I'm on the clock here. I think
my homie is your boy.
Is going to be the direction I go here, given my build. I think I might be going with the Danny build here. We might switch roles. I got a young 22-year-old wide receiver with my first pick, and my highest rated 2 players on the board right now are both quarterbacks. One of them will be 30 next year, and the other one is only 23. So I'm probably going to go with Drake May. With this selection here. Danny is absolutely sick, bro. This time, you could do what I did in the don't give a flock startup. If Mahomes falls to you, I did start my draft with Hurts Mahomes.
There is a quarterback that I still have ranked higher.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot Caleb Williams is Danny's like 3rd overall player at this point, because every time the rule is that if somebody gets higher on Caleb Williams than Danny, he moves him up 3 spots.
Oh, come on, Snyder. That's not nice.
I love it.
Oh, that's not a nice move. I mean, all right. You know what? Just because you alluded to it. Oh, sorry. My mic is a little loud. I just saw your comment.
Yeah, just turn it down just a smidge. There was just a bit of feedback.
You know what? Well, let's reverse spots.
Yeah. Also, Danny, the reason I type that to you is so you don't say it out loud and you just turn it down. I would have said, Danny, turn your mic down a little bit if I wanted to.
I'm so honest.
Announce it. This guy would be the worst at what's the board game? Is it Balderdash, the one where you have to lie?
I've never heard of that board game in my life.
Hold on, I think it's Balderdash. Yeah, Balderdash is. Yeah, you're supposed to basically lie about shit. Kind of an unk board game, but it's a fun.
I don't know why, but this username just got me fucking sent for Joe Blacko. What? Get a nice quarterback
to convince me that Daniel Jones is a value
what's good, Bob?
here.
What's good, Bob? Morning, lads. Morning, J Metal. What's up, Father Day to all the dads out there? Yeah, I am actually going to my nonno and uncle's house today, so it should be fun.
I have severe FOMO today because my brother, my sister, my sister-in-law, and my dad are all golfing at my cottage, and I wasn't able to go because we went to Maria's parents last night for dinner. So I wasn't able to go golfing there, which kind of sucked. But I'll see my dad this afternoon when he gets back.
I have a pick number 7 in my Dynasty Titan Premium Superflex startup. Where's my early round strategy? Hey, we got a ton of videos on the channel that you can tune into after this. But biggest piece of advice is try to stay as liquid, as fluid as you possibly can in the early rounds, because you don't know where your startup's going to lead you.
Just be as wet as you possibly can.
You want to be moist.
Yeah. Be moist, as we often say. What in the Canadian did Bush just say? Is Balderdash a Canadian board game? Am I nuts?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Dude, it's actually such a fun board game. Please tell me I'm not insane in the chat right now. Has anybody played Balderdash, or is it just me?
I think it's just you, Unk.
Balderdash.
I think it's just you, Unk.
I think it's an American board game.
I balderdashed once or twice.
There you go. Yeah, Balderdash is a sick game, dude.
Yeah. Holy crap. I was fucking worried. I don't know why I'm celebrating in a mock, but that's my guy.
I mean, Danny had a chance to build out a true contender and then drafted a 21-year-old receiver after that.
Guy that I'm going to have like 100% ownership in the 4th round on Underdog.
Just you, nerd alert.
Realistically, though, what wide receivers giving me completely more production other than AJ Brown, which would pigeonhole me with a 27-year-old?
Well, I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, so kind of makes sense that you go with AJ Brown there.
I could take your boy later on. I would rather do that than take fucking AJ Brown over Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Am I gonna go with the full Danny build here?
CeeDee Lamb.
No, he's already off the board.
You can trade for him in this.
My man. My highest rated player is actually a quarterback. So
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab CJ Stroud here. Get myself locked down at the super flex spot. I like this start. I know Danny would have been like, all right, I'm gonna sort by age, take a 20.7-year-old player.
Rookies only.
Danny just hits the rookies only tab here as soon as he drafts a young player. So
I'd love to know the last time Danny didn't take Hunter in a mock.
The answer is probably it would have had to have been last offseason.
Respectfully,
actually, I know the last time you didn't draft Travis Hunter, it was when I drafted him in our DEVY startup last year, and you took Jordan James instead.
Yeah. Oh man, it happened in the DEVY Disciples League, and then I ended up just giving Ron Justin Jefferson for Ryan Williams and Travis Hunter this offseason.
I would like to know, Danny, if you'd like to purchase Travis Hunter in that league. Because I feel like I'm missing a big opportunity to take you for everything that you're worth, because you will literally do anything for this man.
Yeah, no, he's the truth. I mean, it depends on what it is. Let
me check. DEVY Degeneracy, obviously, I have a
can't even check on PC. Can't even check on PC.
I can check it.
What?
On the My Team tool. I mean, you have
on the app.
You have Amon-Ra. And I'm a competitive team, Joe. I'll give you Amon-Ra for. I'll give you Hunter for Amon-Ra straight.
I have Amon-Ra ranked higher, so you would have to add some juice there.
Danny, that's not true. We all know that you have Hunter wide receiver.
You can look at my rankings. Hey, you can beat my rankings, young buck.
I would trade you Hunter straight for Amon-Ra. That deal's on the table for you if you want to do it.
I just said I have Amon-Ra ranked higher. Why would I change my seconds? Why would I change my mind from what I just said? I just stated that
probably same tier. Knowing you hate Amon-Ra so much, he's probably like your wide receiver 11 in Dynasty.
If you add to it, I think it's reasonable.
I don't really have any. What kind of juice would you be looking for? Because actually, you know what, you have George Kittle as well, and I really don't have anybody at tight end, so I'd be interested in both of those players.
I got an interesting idea here. Let me try to piece it together. Okay, so.
We're doing the thing where we get caught off guard on the board right now because we're talking about a trade that we're making. This is what we do though. So you guys are probably used to this.
I thought I was on the clock. Sorry. Okay.
Trying to think what else. There's nothing really on the board that strikes me as odd. I think everything's kind of going as chalk right now.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty reasonable in my opinion.
He says as he's not looking at the clock.
Sorry, I'm
looking at his phone. Yeah, everything looks good to me.
No, I was trying to fucking orchestrate a trade. It's just kind of interesting right here.
Kind of curious which direction I'm going to go with these next couple picks. I don't really love the idea of all these. I was hoping Ted McMillan would fall back to me. That would have been my preference as far as what receiver I would have went with.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to fucking
Kobe Fleecer. Saquon at the 404 is kind of nice. I mean, when we were doing our videos, we're like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't take Saquon with like the 209, like his sleeper ADP is, but 404, I think when you already have a decent relative idea of what you're looking at there, I think is pretty fine.
let me know what you think, boss man.
Okay. My pick right now, it would be between Henderson for sure at running back would be, given my build, probably my highest rated guy, even though I have Brees one spot higher, given my build, I like Henderson better. And then I'd probably be looking at Odunze, Flowers, Worthy, I would say probably in this territory for me. Igbuka just a smidge further down, given my build. Tight end, I mean, I don't want to take Laporta this high. I think I'll grab Henderson. I think Henderson makes the most sense for this build. I also have May too, so I'm kind of already invested in that offense. And I feel like I can get better receiver values later. So I feel like I'm kind of reaching on some of these wide receivers. Maybe I'm nuts, but 405 for Rome Odunze feels a little rich. As much as I think like it wouldn't shock me a calendar year from now if we're like, oh yeah, he was absolutely like the best wide receiver 15 to 28 swing that you could have made and gains the most value of all that territory of wide receivers. It's like, man, we should have all seen this coming. He was a top 10 pick. He was a great prospect. Caleb Williams takes the step forward that we all expected to. I know Danny is completely exempt from this conversation because Caleb is already an elite quarterback in your mind. But I don't know. For me, Odunze in the 4th seems just a smidge steep. I would rather get him like kind of 4-5 turn, early 5th area.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Henderson over Kyron is criminal, brother. I mean, what? Even not including my build, I think that's criminal. Like, definitely given my build, I think that was absolutely the right suggestion. But Kyron, if he got an extension, I would hear arguments that maybe in a vacuum you'd prefer Kyron Williams on a competitive team than Henderson, but no shot on a non-competitive team or a rebuilding kind of team that I have here. That I would be going with Kyron over Henderson, not a shot.
Sir, also, I sent you an offer, young man.
Okay. Danny's not going to be able to pay attention to this live stream.
Sorry, I was, we brought it up and I orchestrated an offer. That's why I was a little bit mute for a second. With that being said.
Get out of here, dude. I'm not giving you Hampton too.
I mean, you want to search it on the calculator?
I think given that my team's a monster, I like these players more because they have so much value. I don't think it's an outrageous offer. Let me just point out. Danny sent me. This
quite
is
literally fair on the calculator.
Because people are asking. Yeah. Travis Hunter and Amari and Hampton, he wants from me for St. Brown, George Kittle, Alvin Kamara. My weakest point on my roster of my contending team is tight end. So George Kittle would go quite a long way for me. And in a vacuum, again, I don't think it's a terrible offer by any means. And Kamara definitely, it's a best ball format. So Kamara and Kittle and those guys definitely have high weekly ceilings in full PPR. And it's a half tight end premium as well. I think that Hampton and Hunter is just a smidge steep. I would rather, I don't really want Kamara that bad. I would rather just do Kittle and St. Brown for Hunter plus something else that's not as valuable as Hampton.
The issue is it was hard for me to get where, like other than Hampton.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to want any of these competitive assets that I have. I mean, I'm willing to include DEVY and rookie picks in there to get me there, but
like I would need a lot. Full transparency. Like I mean, I would need like Omar and Hampton. Like,
well, what's the difference? Not in a DEVY league, just in a regular dynasty setting between Hunter and St. Brown for you.
Hunter and St. Brown, about a half a round.
Okay, so in a trade, if I traded you Hunter plus what gets you to St. Brown in a regular like would you do it for Hunter and a 2? Like a regular rookie 2?
It's tough. We can't even equate that.
I'm just saying, in a regular dynasty league, is that what you would do?
I'd probably be right on the edge.
Okay, so my rookie first this year, I've looked at all of our DEVY leagues in the past.
I don't.
A late first round pick in a depleted startup like that is about a late second rounder.
I just have no upside. I would want upside back if I'm going to.
Okay, well, what if I gave you a mid round DEVY startup pick next year as well? In addition to my rookie first.
I just don't really want your rookie first
this year, just for that player there.
I'll send you a different offer. I don't really have any interest in rookie first, to be fully transparent.
Okay, well, if you want my DEVY picks instead, I'm willing to give those up.
Okay. I might have a big time offer.
You're
here.
on the clock, by the way.
On the clock here. Finally starting to see some quarterbacks go off the board, thankfully.
Maybe we'll tackle this after. Maybe people like us talking through trade offers, but I feel like we should maybe pay attention here.
What rookies are on the board? Okay. Judkins is available. No, he's not. Okay.
No,
You know what? I just mentioned I'll take the stacking option here. I think 5.5 is about a reasonable cost. Now what do I want to do here?
Would you take Puka or Genti at the 204 in a startup? Got to be Puka. I actually have Genti one spot ahead of Puka, but if you want kind of the flexibility of taking a receiver over a running back, even though, I mean, generally you got third-year receiver versus rookie-year running back, it's probably about the same thing, timeline-wise. I would say if you want to stay a little bit more flexible and you think that rebuilding could be, a good strategy, I would say maybe go Puka there so you stay a little bit more flexible. But Genti versus Puka is a toss-up, man. Like I really think it's team dependent for the most part.
Also, I looks like I'm frozen. And I sent you a revised offer with a piece I know you like.
Okay. And I'm back on the clock, and Sam Laporta is still here, guys. It's a half tight end premium. Like I feel like I gotta take Laporta now. I mean, with like a rebuild with the half tight end premium at the 5.8. Like I hate taking tight ends early though. Like it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I mean over Igbuka.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like, who's my highest rated player right now between all these guys here?
You like Flowers too.
Yeah, Flowers and Worthy are my two highest rated players, and Laporta is in that tier with those guys. But I think, given my team build, I'm gonna roll with. I'm going super young here. I'll roll with Worthy over Flowers.
Interesting. So
I'm gonna do the Danny, except I'm not gonna just only draft rookies. Like I'll just draft a young team.
Why do we have almost the exact same build?
I mean, you have very much like what we talked about in the videos last week was like having the flexibility to go in either direction. I think you very much have the flexibility to go competitive here.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's probably going to be the one startup mock I'm actually competitive.
Yeah, it's rare because it's funny. The one week we do a video talking about how I always go competitive in startup mocks, and then you always go rebuild. It's funny that you actually go competitive in this one. Too Rich must be on the West Coast here. I mean, it's like noon in Eastern time zones.
Bushy, take a look at the revised offer. There's a reason why I remembered specifically Zay Flowers.
Okay. Okay, this one's definitely better. So you want my first DEVY and my first rookie in addition to this?
Okay, I view that as about 2 seconds of value.
Yeah, I can equate this out here. So the offer Danny sent me, I'll pull it up on the trade calculator so everyone can see it because it's kind of confusing to just say it out loud. Yep. I guess I can't pull up a first round DEVY pick on the trade calculator, but I'll just say that part.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you want to say early to mid second rounder, I think that's because I don't know however we want to equate it.
Okay, so you're giving me Alvin Kamara, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Zay Flowers, who we just talked about,
sir,
and George Kittle. And keep in mind, this is a team. I'll show the screenshot in a second.
This team's loaded.
This is a team that I won last year. And Hampton and Hunter were in my DEVY pool. Yeah. So I won the league and then got the eventual 102 and 103 in rookie drafts out of my DEVY pool.
So the way you're equating it is the team that won last year is just adding 4 completely nuke win now pieces.
In terms of DEVY value, or in terms of value of my rookie first, it's probably, I would say, about a mid to late second, give or take.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Just as far as putting it in the trade calculator is concerned. Yeah. And then the DEVY pick, how should I value that in the trade calculator?
So it's a late DEVY one. The issue with the late DEVY one.
This is an easy Ibuka smash, by the way, on the clock where I'm at right now.
The issue with the late DEVY one, like you said,
ooh, Loveland's here too, though.
I think some type of second's probably fair.
Okay, I'll value my DEVY pick as a 2027 mid to late second.
Okay, I think that's reasonable.
I think that's about what it's worth. Because I mean, we're going to be 3 years into the DEVY at this point, so you're going to be taking stabs mainly on freshmen and high school guys. Like relatively speaking, most of the guys that are worth anything are going to be rostered already.
And realistically, exactly too. That's another thing. We're another year removed from the startup. And realistically, in your spot, why would you absorb any risk trying to take a high school or college guy when you could just equate that to point production right now instead of having to wait for 2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not competing, so like I don't care.
So this is the I'm just going to quickly show this. You make your pick, and then I'll quickly show the trade offer that Danny just sent me.
Sounds good. Also, now I am in a little bit of a dilemma here because I think Colson Loveland might be the clear best player on the board.
I think he is definitely the clear best player on the board. I mean, probably not for your build specifically.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm
to be honest, I feel pretty confident in like James Cook types being relatively the same value as a Colson Loveland, given the build that you have.
I'm just not a big Cook guy here. Like
I tend to think that James Cook is going to get an extension, to be honest. I think that his initial asking price with the Bills was completely outrageous. They go, how about you shut up and play football and then come back to us when you have a real offer? And then he's going to end up signing a DeAndre Swift type of contract before the season starts. That would be my guess on what happens with James Cook.
I'm going to pull you.
Chris Olave and Devontae Smith, you're just drafted. You're playing the hits for me here.
I mean, like, I never make contending teams out of the startup in these mocks, so I'm kind of curious how it'll go. Like, obviously,
well, that's why we mock draft, right?
Yeah. Just give you guys a different perspective on it.
So this is the trade that Danny has on the table for me. Again, keep in mind that this mid to late second. Oh, whoops, sorry, that's both 2027s. The trade offer is a little bit different because it's a Devy league, but generally speaking, this is about the trade that we're looking at here, where it's Travis Hunter and Amarian Hampton, a 2026 rookie first, but it's a Devy first, so it's depleted first. So you're looking at about a mid to late second worth of actual value and determining who's on the board there. And then a 2027 mid to late second is taking place of a first round Devy pick next year. But again, we've been doing this Devy league for 2 years. So if you're thinking, oh, what if that's Jeremiah Smith? Like Jeremiah Smith was rostered 2 years ago. Like he's gone. Ryan Williams gone. Like all the Arch Manning gone. Like it's whoever emerges this year in the college football season who will be the top guys, or anybody who's 2028, 2029 eligible.
It's like we're trying to equate what exactly those Devy picks are going to be, but inherently knowing that those are going to be late, it's kind of hard to equate an exact value on them, unfortunately.
Especially knowing that I won last year and my team's an absolute freak show.
And if I make this deal with you, like you're getting a potential top 15 running back in points per game, top 5 wide receiver points per game,
top 30 player on my redraft board at tight end as well.
Yeah. So even
this is a very intriguing deal. I'm not going to lie to you, because St. Brown and Hunter to me are about equatable by me giving up my rookie first, give or take, I think. Yeah. My depleted rookie first. And then you have Flowers for Hampton. Again, Kittle and Kamara, is that enough to make up that difference between the first and the first round Devy pick, and the Amarian Hampton asset? And for me, it's like, oh man, it's tough because I feel good about all of those players projection wise, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's fascinating. Now what if I threw Jaden Reed and you threw back your Devy too?
Again, keep in mind this is a best ball league as well. So Jaden Reed is just a guy that'll hit my lineup. I don't have to decide when to start him or anything like that. So, that makes it pretty even for sure.
I will go with. I think I'll mix in Jordan Addison. I do have Matthew Golden a few spots higher, but like I said, I'm trying to compete in this one, so I'm curious what it looks like.
The thing that's hard for me to contextualize about this trade offer is that I feel like I might be selling you Hunter at his lowest point, and I feel like I might be buying St. Brown at his highest point. So as much as
that's why I would add the Jaden Reed for the Devy too to kind of even that out a little bit.
I know. Like I would actually, to be honest with you, I'd rather have Genty than St. Brown in this deal. And instead of Jaden Reed and the Devy 2, I would rather just have Genty instead of St. Brown.
I would rather keep Genty. He just fits my build a lot better than Amon-Ra. Like realistically, if I have
but you're getting Hunter.
No,
then you still have Amon-Ra that you have to sell. I see what you mean.
That's what I mean. Like realistically, the motive for me here would be getting off of the age of Amon-Ra comparatively to down tier to Hunter and get the age profile because I'm getting a little bit younger.
Right.
Whereas Genty, like the whole point is if I can retool this within a couple years, he can still be a big building block for me.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm on the clock here, and I feel pretty equal about all of these players. I think given that I have like a young team, I can afford the 1 year punt on Ayuk, but I think I could probably get him in the next round. I guess we're streaming, so maybe I can't. I just think Metcalf's undervalued, man. Like I really do. I just think he's undervalued. And this is what we talked about in that video during the week is like, just because you go young and you draft a bunch of young players like I have, doesn't mean you can't deviate when you just think there's a guy that's going to gain value.
Yeah.
And to me, Metcalf, the only show in town in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, who's kind of like a wide receiver kingmaker as far as how much he targets as number one. Like, I just think that DK Metcalf will be 2 rounds more expensive this time next year after the type of season I expect him to have on like a redraft projection standpoint. So I actually, you and I definitely disagree on what Metcalf's redraft projection is, but I really like him in redraft this year, to be honest. I think when you're in that 4th, 5th, 6th round, you're looking for guys who can really differentiate themselves from a big play standpoint, from a target upside standpoint. And Metcalf kind of checks a lot of those boxes for me, even if Arthur Smith is a factor and Aaron Rodgers maybe isn't playing the same level of football that he was before. I don't think we've seen Metcalf in a situation like this where he can command this level of volume.
I don't think he's the type of player that will, but I mean,
I know you and I differ on the player, the caliber of receiver that DK Metcalf is. Like, to me, I would rank him as a top 15 to 20 receiver in the league. And you give a top 15 to 20 receiver in the league 150 plus targets, he's gonna ball.
Like, it just goes back to the point that like we were talking about before. Like I genuinely don't see a difference in terms of the skill set between him and George Pickens.
I think that's fair, but I think I definitely see a difference between the fantasy projection of the two players. It's not that I don't think they're that much different of actual talents. I just think that Metcalf is much more athletic and much more high upside for fantasy, and he's already been better for fantasy to this point in his career.
And maybe that's where I disagree, because I think the advantage of being the number one is offset with the fact that the Cowboys offense is going to project so much better than the Steelers.
I just think that's wrong, to be honest.
Why?
I think you get, because I have 150 target projection for DK Metcalf at least this year.
I mean, I will take,
number one receiver.
I will take
gets 150 targets.
I will take 100. First of all, I don't even think it's a foregone conclusion he'll have 150 targets, because
I think he will.
He hasn't shown
even if they throw 480 times this year, he's going to have 150 plus targets.
You still have the command volume. I mean, we can't just do the vacated targets thing. We can't.
I'm not just doing the vacated targets thing. He's been a former wide receiver one in the past. It's not like I'm throwing,
how many years ago
Wilson into vacated targets right now. Like, this dude's a baller.
How many years ago? I mean, debatably.
He's been a wide receiver 2 or better like every year of his career, and a wide receiver 1 at his peak. So, that's a very good receiver in my book.
Low passing volume team for a bad offense for a receiver I don't think can command elite alpha number target share. Like, to me, I don't see it. I saw the 2 receivers that we saw with Arthur Smith in the past, Drake London, AJ Brown, be 158 target guys the year after they left Arthur Smith.
I just think it's sampling bias that both of those guys were very young players at the time.
I don't like AJ Brown.
They were not 27-year-old multi-time wide receiver 2s or better at that point in their career.
AJ Brown was
AJ Brown and Drake London were still getting their feet wet as NFL receivers.
AJ Brown was a year 3 player, and quite frankly, DK Metcalf is not nearly the caliber of receiver that either of those guys are.
I don't disagree with you. I to be honest, I think Metcalf versus London's a little closer than you seem to think it is, but I don't know, man. I just think Metcalf.
I got sniped. Damn.
I just think Metcalf is in a really good spot to gain a lot of value. And again, I know Ayuk doesn't really fit my build either. I tend to think that I would be able to flip him for more later. I'll probably stick back to the young players going forward.
Hey, if we're officially going to switch spots for how we draft these teams, I got to go with your guy here.
This is also, Josh Downs. I probably should have taken Josh Downs, to be honest. I kind of forgot he was on the board.
Steelers don't have prime Derrick Henry, but also the offense just projects terribly, like, in my opinion. Like, when I'm looking at
to Brock's point, prime Derrick Henry is the reason that the Titans threw the ball 475 times a season.
Do the Steelers have a prime AJ Brown?
No, but like, prime Derrick Henry is why their offense was the way it was, is Brock's point, which I agree with. It's not necessarily all Arthur Smith's DNA. Like, think about the running backs that Arthur Smith has worked with. Derrick Henry and fucking Bijan.
Sure, but even in the year with Bijan, it was a committee between him and Algier. It wasn't like he used Bijan like Derrick Henry.
Right, but even if you go back to last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 500 pass attempts. Like, that's not high volume. They were like 29th in the NFL. But 500 pass attempts, when you're the clear alpha, you're getting 150 targets.
But if I'm getting potentially 600 plus pass attempts from Dak Prescott, I think the upside of the offense is just much higher.
if you stat out projection wise both teams, there's no way you're getting more targets for Pickens than you're getting for Metcalf. Like it's not going to happen. You get 180 targets for CeeDee Lamb.
I'm not saying it has to be exactly the same targets. I'm saying even if it's within 15, give me the upside of the Cowboys offense much more.
Yeah,
I think touchdown equity of the Cowboys offense.
Rodgers was top 5 in red zone pass rate last year, and he had a top 5 deep ball completion percentage as well. Sure. And both of those favor what DK Metcalf does well.
Sure, DK Metcalf, the player, has to command those targets. Like that's really what it comes down to.
And he hasn't been commanding targets, but don't get it twisted here. He's been in offenses with a quarterback who's a little bit more conservative, like Geno Smith, who's been throwing.
Geno Smith's not conservative.
Okay, well, he's been throwing to very talented over-the-middle PPR chain movers for years in Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Geno Smith's the definition of a gunslinger.
Okay, sure. I'm just saying, you're saying Metcalf hasn't been able to command those types of targets. I'm telling you, like, when he had Russell Wilson, who was more of a deep ball shot guy like Rodgers is, he was commanding targets. And Lockett and JSN are very talented target earners, and nobody like that exists in Pittsburgh.
He was very productive that 1 year. I'll give you credit. Year 2? 2018.
Yeah, he was. He also was good for like multiple years after that. Yeah, he wasn't a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, but he was very good.
Well, what's good? Like to me, like wide receiver 2 on 145 targets is not good. Like he's like that was the year he was very good, and people were talking, oh, is he a top 5-10 receiver? He hasn't been nearly that type of talent for the last 5 years.
Wide receiver 20, 24, 22 in fantasy is good production in points per game. That's good
production.
Fine. That's an every week
27.
Number 2, 3 wide receiver for your starting lineup every year.
Sure, but if I'm not see, the thing is, in that range, by the way. First of all, too, there is the upside case if Lamb were to miss any time, Pickens would be the number 1 in that offense.
Okay, that's
another thing.
He's been a durable guy throughout his career.
I'm just pointing out there's implied upside there. So if I think the overall projection for them is similar as is, but there's also implied upside if Lamb were to miss any time, that Pickens would be the number 1 for Dak Prescott. Why wouldn't I just take the shot on Pickens?
What about the implied downside that Dak's been kind of dealing with injuries and the bottom falls out of this offense? It's actually more likely that happens than you're on the clock again.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. I don't have enough time. Njoku.
You're yapping.
I got it. I got Njoku off.
There you go. No. Anyways, we'll move off of Pickens. Danny, there's no way that I'm ever going to win an argument against the Cowboys player realistically.
Well, no. It was strictly a DK Metcalf argument. For me personally, I'm looking at it. Why would I take DK Metcalf over George Pickens if they're the same archetype of player and I'm getting a much better offense, even if he potentially out-targets him by 15?
I don't know. Chat, do you think that Pickens is as good as Metcalf? Because I don't actually think it's really that close. Like, I think Metcalf is a much better receiver.
What has Metcalf done in the last 5 years that
a wide receiver 2 every year plus a wide receiver 1 peak, which is basically the wide receiver 2 upside hasn't even really existed that much for George Pickens.
Pickens had 1,100 yards with fucking Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Metcalf's done that 3 times, man. Like,
with Russell Wilson and Geno
1 year.
Russell Wilson and Geno Smith, and he had over 1,300 1 year, and that was like what, 6 years ago? Like I just
no, it was fucking 5 years ago.
Oh, my bad.
4 seasons
my
ago.
My bad. 5 years ago, not 6 years.
He's still in his prime. Man. He's 27, man.
Apologies.
Anyways, I'm on the clock here, and I gotta make a decision. Frick, I don't like any of these guys.
The boys are.
Pittman, I feel like he's a good value at this point.
The boys are all on Pickens in the chat, I see.
Yeah, I agree. I think DK is a very good fit.
Yeah, like I don't disagree, by the way. Like in terms of ranges of outcomes, it's probably tighter for Metcalf, but I would argue the upside of Pickens and the offense is just higher because when he catches 12, 13 touchdowns. Like if Dak throws 35 touchdowns, why can't Pickens catch 12 or 13 touchdowns?
You mean like Metcalf's done twice in his career already?
How long?
He had 12 touchdowns in 2021.
How many yards?
He had only 967 yards. Tyler Lockett had like a monster year that year, though.
So what's more valuable, 1,112 touchdowns or 912 touchdowns?
912 touchdowns.
What?
Well, he didn't play the whole year that year.
Did you? So 912 is better than 1,112.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said like 908 or something.
No.
908 touchdowns or something.
You tweaked me for a second. I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Dude, 12 touchdowns? 12 touchdowns is how many Pickens has in his career, brother.
Sure. Has he ever played with a quarterback that's thrown over 25?
No, but I'm just saying you're projecting a guy for 12 receiving touchdowns in one season when that's his career touchdown total.
I expect Lamb to alpha Pickens, just like Jamar Chase alphas T Higgins.
Yeah. The downside risk for both players is that they both check out mentally of their teams as well.
They're both unhinged and get into fights and get ejected. DK Metcalf swings at someone and George Pickens gets in the grill of a ref.
Yeah. Again, probably a useless argument, but realistically, if you're in the 5th round of a redraft league, you might have to decide between those two players. And I just think the upside case resides with DK Metcalf because of the target upside and the previous talent that we've seen in the player.
It could very well be better, but what do you think is a more likely bet? A 41-year-old who literally tore his Achilles 2 years ago bouncing back, or him potentially falling off?
I mean, Dak's more injured than Rodgers coming into the year. Let's get that straight.
A 41-year-old who literally suffered a torn Achilles.
That was 2 years ago. That was 2.5 years ago, man. Yeah. He's healthy from that.
We'll see.
Dak's the one who's coming off injury, not Rodgers.
It's a hamstring tear, and he's fucking 32 years old.
Yeah, he's also had.
I'm worried about the 41
injuries in his career.
Call me crazy. I'm more worried about the injury risk of a 41-year-old who tore his Achilles 2 years ago.
I don't know. Guy coming off of injury is more risky than guy who not coming off of injury.
Rodgers gets out of bed the wrong way and snaps his fucking ankle. Like who's to say? Yeah. Guy's geriatric.
I have no idea who I want to pick here.
He's on the road to applying for AARP at this point.
Who the heck am I going to take? I might just Connor's the best player on the board. I'll just take Connor. I know he doesn't fit my friggin'
I don't mind it
thing here, but anyways.
I
know what you guys mean for what it's worth. Rodgers is definitely the higher injury risk, but I think Danny's ignoring Dak's injury risk is my point.
No. Dak's got injury risk. He's gotten hurt, but also he's healthy now. And inherently, the 32-year-old is less of an injury risk than the 41-year-old who literally snapped his Achilles 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong and Dak gets hurt and Rodgers doesn't, I'm fine to absorb that. Like, okay, I took the.
I absolutely prefer Dak. We're not talking about Dak versus Rodgers. Obviously, I prefer Dak. We're talking in relation to the downside risk of the offense. I don't think there's that much of a difference between the two guys because Dak's been really banged up in his career.
Wait, sorry. Not a big difference between their injury risk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. I had to clarify. I'm like, wait, not a difference in quarterback play? Okay.
I mean, Rodgers' season last year is like the 3rd best season of Dak's career, though, for what it's worth.
Oh, so now we're just lying. So now we're just lying to 274 people.
28 passing touchdowns and
now we're just lying
yards. That's about a good Dak year, if I'm being honest.
Now we're just lying to 275 people.
I don't know.
It takes a quick Google search to realize that's not true.
He's only beaten that season 3 times, like I just said. So
but so it's not his 2nd best season, correct?
I said his 3rd best season.
He's had 3 years of 30 plus touchdowns.
Yeah. So it would be his 4th best season, and then Rodgers was terrible last year.
And he's been
hurt for his like 13th best season. Rodgers.
He's been hurt for 2 straight. Also, I'll just go ETN because I didn't have enough time. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move off of this topic here. What's with the report that Besh isn't projected to start in Vegas right now?
Very simple to me. You want to know what it is?
What?
Because right now they're unsure if he's an outside wide receiver or a slot, and if he's only a predominant slot, that's literally where Jacoby Myers plays. That is the only issue right now.
Yeah, I think. To be fair, though, I think that should be bearish news for Besh because he's not going to beat out Jacoby Myers for his job. He's not going to.
I don't disagree. I think it should be. It's just about Besh proving at this point that he can play on the outside. In terms of the reports, Dante Thornton's getting more first team looks.
Going to stretch the field, so that makes sense.
Exactly. Like that, and I think that's the thing that people are overlooking. The reason why Thornton's going to get those snaps is you're not playing Besh as a field stretching X.
Yeah. I drafted Dante Thornton in a best ball draft in the 18th round yesterday on a Geno team.
I don't think it's outrageous. Fucking MVS has had games where he's put up 22 fantasy points. Like even if Dante Thornton is MVS, like that's all you need in best ball.
Yeah, that was I believe one of my comps for him coming out of school. Yeah. So like if you have Geno Smith, I think I had a Geno Smith and Genty and Besh team or something like that. I think I tacked on Thornton to the end of that team or whatever.
Don't go to twisted though, J Metal. If Besh is going to plummet in ADP because of these reports, I will take my swings. I thought he was a good prospect.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think he was a pretty solid prospect as well. A reminder also for the new people in the stream since we started going live. I made a couple announcements at the top. Number 1, our DEVY startup we're drawing names later today. So if you want a chance to get into that league, The link for that to join the Google form is in the description of this live stream. Just fill that out. You can enter and join for free. You can join as a site subscriber to have a higher chance of getting in. The second hour of the stream, once this draft is done, we are going to be breaking down some team reviews and trade questions from the site. If you guys do want to get those answered, we have that pinned and starred in the chat, and I will drop it one more time for those of you guys that do want to get some trade questions in, get some team reviews in, and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's what we'll be tackling here in between Cowboys arguments.
With that being said, you're drafting a lot of Metcalf in best ball. Dude, anytime Pickens is there in the 50s, it's so free.
Well, he's ranked 31 for you probably. So
I'll tell you exactly where he's ranked for me. He is ranked. Also worth noting, you only have Metcalf 4 spots higher than me in redraft.
I may have to update where I have him in my overall rankings then, because I think among receivers, he's probably a decent bit higher.
So you have him at 26 at wide receiver. I have him at 29. So that's the difference.
So it's not that far off then.
And the different, I have Pickens at 26. You have Pickens at 32. Wow, that's low.
I don't really like anybody on the board right now.
Let me see. Who else? I have Worthy a little bit higher than you. I have Tet McMillan a ton higher.
I think I'll just take Spears. I feel like Spears is a decent value here.
You have Tet pretty low.
McMillan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super like I like Tet this year, but I don't want to pretend that he was extremely polished, ready to go, and is going to be a number one receiver from jump. Like I do expect that the Panthers will have a little bit of growing pains with McMillan and just the receiver core in general. Like there's a lot of moving parts there.
So let me ask you then. Are you drafting?
It's more just about the projections of the other players near him, to be honest.
So which Panthers receiver are you drafting if you don't think Tet is ready to be the number one right off from day one?
In basketball?
Adam Thielen?
I take a lot of Coker late in drafts. I would say probably. It's more honestly just that I like who do I have immediately ahead of McMillan in best ball right now? I think
you have Metcalf rated higher than him. I can't.
Yeah, like I absolutely would take Metcalf over him in best ball for sure.
Yeah,
like
there.
Call me crazy here, but like, brother, Tet McMillan having 150 targets like Metcalf's about to have per what I project him to have here, it would be very shocking to me if McMillan was going to get 150 targets. I would rank him in the third round.
By the way, Metcalf hasn't had a year with 150 targets in his career.
No, he has not. Neither Stephon Diggs never had a year of that many targets either until he went to a new team who featured him as a number one.
Yeah. We'll see. He also went to Josh Allen.
Yeah. And I think that Rodgers is also very proven in that he's going to use his top target quite a bit.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something crazy for a second.
No, he uses his top receiver like a lot.
Yeah. We'll see.
You know who I've been hammering, by the way? I'm not going to take him yet, but I have been hammering Terrence Ferguson in the 18th round.
Oh, he's free.
In best ball. He is literally one of the best picks on the board, in my opinion, because he is essentially the same caliber of prospect as, not as Warren and Loveland, but it wasn't actually that far off in terms of the prospect model. And they're going like 10th, 11th round, which also I think is a huge value for them as well. And Ferguson's like undrafted, even though he plays for like a really good team.
You have Adams at 36 now? I thought you had him at 28, you said.
Where?
In best ball.
I'd have to double check before I'm going to make my pick here. I'm going to grab, who do I want? I'm going to grab Likely. This is a rebuilding type of build. I think Likely fits here.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I have Adams.
You dropped him a good bit.
It didn't save for some reason. Okay. I did move him up earlier.
Oh, okay. I was like confused. I'm like, wait, I thought we.
No, he should have been higher. I don't know why he moved down.
Speaking of Isaiah Likely, by the way, I actually got a share of him on a Green Bay correlated team. 23 picks past ADP in one of my slows.
It's pretty good.
Don't mind that at all. And for those wondering why I said Green Bay correlated, week 17.
There you go.
Yeah, not too bad. Likely's interesting. Did you see the report? Apparently, his next extension, he's eyeing 14.5 per year. He wants to be paid like Likely on his next extension wants to be paid like a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll get it, to be honest.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I think he'll get it, and then they'll move Andrews or, make him take a huge pay cut and just use him as a red zone guy. I think, hear me out. I think Andrews could be one of the bigger landmines in Dynasty right now.
Yeah, I mean, he literally people were asking if he was drop worthy in redraft. Literally,
But it's not that I don't think Andrews still has a role, and I think that the name Mark Andrews implies that he could have a Mark Andrews caliber season left in the tank still, and I just frankly don't think he has that caliber of upside anymore. I think it's pretty clear that he's like the other thing. I don't want to ding him for this, but like the other thing about Mark Andrews is that like he deals with like a very severe level of diabetes, and he might not have the same level of shelf life as another NFL player for that reason. Like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying it's possible that a quick decline could happen for him because of his health too. And he also, it wouldn't shock me if he would be the type of player that the second his health starts deteriorating, he just retires as well.
Yeah, Bindle said in the chat, I was really just going to point this out. Like, I think a lot of it can be attributed to the fact that he was in a car accident too. But
true, yeah.
Anyway, you slice it. He scored 11 touchdowns on 69 targets last year. Nice.
That's Bob Tunyon level efficiency right there.
Dude, I was thinking about Robert Tunyon the other day. Where, like, is he even still in the league?
Yeah, he is. He's on the where does he play? He plays somewhere. He's on the roster.
He's on the Chiefs now.
Yeah.
Bro, the year where he was the tight end 4 in fantasy, and he had 52 catches for 586 yards and 11 touchdowns on 59 fucking targets.
Insane.
Sorry, I'm on the clock. What the hell? That might be the most efficient year I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the trivia, there was a running back. Sorry, was it 2 teammates, like the combined touchdowns they had in a season? That was one of the finals questions. And the Green Bay 2020 year, I think that was. There was 3 possible answers because Tunyon and Aaron Jones had the same amount of touchdowns, and Devontae Adams led the team in touchdowns that year. So the combined touchdowns, I think it was like 35 or something like that, or 31 or something. It was the answer. I think it was either Tony or JMO that guessed it. It wasn't me. I know that. And Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones was the guess. And he's like, I remember Sexy Pat's being like, you could have also guessed Robert Tunyon because he had the same amount of touchdowns as Aaron Jones that year.
That is wild. Yeah. I mean, I remember I picked him up in fantasy for free after like week 3 because I think was it a game? I want to see there was the game against the Bears or whatever. It was a game that was isolated. I remember it was an island game, and he absolutely went off. Is that 2020 year? The year against the game against Atlanta, bro.
Here's
against
the
the
full
Falcons
circle moment, Danny. You know who he was with? Aaron Rodgers. Fire up DK back. Yeah.
What did Devontae Adams do that year? I'm curious.
He was dominant. I won my fantasy league with him.
I
both
remember.
our listener league and my home league.
Yeah. I mean, that was also prime A-Rod, baby. Fuck. That guy was
Adams was a fucking
different breed.
beast that year, man.
But that was MVP A-Rod, right?
Yeah. First MVP.
But yeah, dude, take this. So this was the island game. It was against the Falcons. Sorry, I thought it was the Bears against the Falcons. 6 targets, 6 receptions, 98 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns in the game.
Yeah. Gotta close out this draft with my guy.
Take Bobby Tons.
Dimes.
Not gonna take Bobby Tons?
Nah, I gotta take dimes there.
I'm curious if somebody.
I mean, for what it's worth, like Jonnu should not be on the board. I just wanted to take Daniel Jones there. I should have taken Jonnu realistically, but
yeah, this is also mental, by the way.
Dude, if you're on the who do you click more often, Jaden Reed or Matthew Golden in best ball? They're like the same range, pretty much.
Golden, but I finally did a build where I took both of them on that turn to set up Love later. Because typically speaking, I've been taking one and then pairing Love with Kraft, and I'll have one of the receivers, Kraft plus Love, as my build. But recently in a slow today, I took my first Golden plus Reed. Because I do think... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is very 2022, but hear me out. I think Golden's addition is very good for Jaden Reed, that he like stretches the field and opens up stuff underneath. It's like the St. Brown, Jameson Williams thing that people always talked about. I've been taking a lot more Jaden Reed than Golden.
I think that's reasonable. I honestly just think both are going to have their spike weeks. That's kind of how I play. Like even when Christian Watson was healthy, like if Golden just replaces the Christian Watson role, like your offense is functioning even better.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think even if you get Reed capped at like 80% of the routes or whatever, like he's probably going to be, I tend to think he's going to lead the team in receiving if he stays healthy.
He could. Yeah, you want to know the wild card for that is Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, I just frankly don't think Tucker Kraft is better than Reed or Golden.
Respectable. So let me bring up a stat that I read when I was actually so you know how Hayden Winks goes through like the regression candidates.
Mhm.
So I was reading up on this. The level of efficiency that Kraft was at last year.
Wait, why
On
did
one
another
hand,
round just start?
it's unsustainable because he's literally so it was plus 3.1 yak per reception, like better than expected. For reference, the next highest tight end was George Kittle at 2.2, I think he said, or 2.1. So like Kraft, in terms of just specifically yards after the catch, was not only the most efficient player or tight end in the league, like it wasn't even close. 3.2 yards after catch per reception, above expected.
Yeah, no, he was really efficient. The only problem is that like there's not a whole lot of metrics that you can point to that say like, oh, yards per route run or receiving
It was
grade.
the
And,
route
like,
rate.
there's not like a whole lot to say that he's good outside of really just being really good after the catch. Like as far as like earning targets and those kind of things, like he was getting the routes. He was really good after the catch. That was kind of what Tucker Kraft was. And I think that screams more like second or third target in your offense than it does number one target in your offense.
I think that's reasonable. The reason why I'm willing to still take that risk or that plunge is because you could have said the same thing about Andrews before his breakout year. And you look at the metrics between both in terms of the efficiency per target.
Weren't Andrews' metrics really good his first year?
So that's why I'm pointing it out. Tucker Kraft this year, comparable to what Mark Andrews was in his second year. Sorry, the second year was the breakout. Sorry, the year before his breakout, because on 50 targets, he had 552 receptions and 3 touchdowns. I'm more so saying Mark Andrews, year 1 to 2. I can see that being elite for Kraft year 2 to 3.
Yeah, I could see that. I just think even in that year for Mark Andrews, he like led all tight ends in QBR when targeted and stuff. Like there was better metrics even for Andrews, and his rookie year, like he didn't really play the routes and the snaps that Kraft got last year either.
See,
like it was more of the role increase.
The actual route share for Kraft wasn't even like that high.
Dude, it was like top 5 in the league at tight end.
His snap share was.
No, his route participation. Remember the video that we did yesterday where I showed Tyler Warren top 8 tight ends? I have it pulled up right here.
Okay, it was a different metric then. Let me see exactly what the one, because I'm pulling it from the article again. Obviously, like you saw that. Let me see in the article. Fantasy football regression candidates per month. Let's go to tight ends.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft ran the 5th most routes in the league last year in terms of team participation rate. Only Trey McBride, Travis Kelce, K. Dotton, and Brock Bowers had higher participation of their team's routes.
Here, that said there's plus 3.1. Okay, tight end 4 in fantasy points over replacement per game last year as a sophomore. Ended the season 97% snap rate in the playoffs. Okay, no, you're right. I thought there was something here that said that, but regardless,
that's why I'm not as high on Kraft as you, is that he actually probably should have been better last year than he was. That's pretty much why. But the Packers offense in general, I feel very bullish on, and I like the players to be better than they were last year. I think that Kraft is more like, remember when Zach Ertz left Philadelphia, like Dallas Goedert was kind of like back end tight end 1 territory, mid tight end 1 territory. I think that's about what we could get from Kraft. I don't think he's doing much better than that.
What was his route share you mentioned?
83%.
Is that what it was, or was that his snap share?
No, 83% was his route participation on the year. I covered it in yesterday's video when I was talking about Warren, how he would get so many of the routes or whatever. Kraft was at 83%, right in between Bowers at 84%, Ingram at 81% when he was healthy, Laporta at 80%, and Hunter Henry at 80% as well. So for top 5 route participation in terms of your team's percentage of your routes, I think he kind of underperformed, relatively speaking. Like that's a really, really, really high number for a tight end to achieve.
Basically, what you're hoping this year is that, for instance, last year, maybe it was the love mobility, maybe it was the fact that they didn't really have a boundary target. But basically how I'm reading that is, for example, Jaden Reed also faded off at the beginning of the year. Where did he do most of his damage?
Kraft did all of his damage in spike weeks. He didn't really consistently earn targets.
I know. Just answer the question for Reed first.
Reed did most of his damage at the beginning of the year.
Not the year. I'm saying like where on the field he was doing
in the slot.
Damage. In the slot, middle of the field. Tucker Kraft does a lot of his damage in the middle of the field. You drag routes, yards after catch ability. I do think that teams probably adjusted to the fact that they didn't have a true X, and Jordan Love's mobility was hampered.
I guess, but like Golden and Watson are Golden's gonna just replace Watson in the stretch of the field role. And I just think that Reed was not healthy last year, and Kraft kind of benefited from that. And like the fact that he only commanded a 15% target share on the year, despite being like clearly an alpha tight end in terms of other usage, to me kind of screams that he's more, mid tight end 1, low end tight end 1 type of upside than he is like finishing tight end 3 in fantasy points.
Based specifically on how he commanded targets last year, you also have to note athletic tight end, efficient on his targets, a very real possibility his overall involvement increases in year 3.
He's also
it's not a linear. Yeah, well, I mean,
it's not like he was 21 last year, 22.
Yeah,
he's a little bit older of a guy still.
I mean, like year 3 tight end, and he was that efficient on his targets. If Green Bay looks at the tape last season and realize how good he is, he could very well.
Dude, I'm clicking him a lot. I think that in the same range, you can get Warren, and Warren is way higher up.
Oh, I have Warren ranked higher.
Yeah,
I don't think higher.
That's why I don't click Kraft as much. Is that Njoku goes right before him, who's got higher upside, and Warren goes a little bit ahead of him too, and Warren to me is higher upside as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I think Kraft is a really good punt tight end though. He is absolutely a really good punt tight end because he is he's probably gonna be an every week starter for somebody.
Yeah. I feel you.
Dylan, have we revealed who got the DEVY league yet? We have not. We're going to do it later. We're not going to do it like on stream or anything because you got people's email addresses and stuff. We don't want to show you guys that stuff on the stream. Dylan, I will say you might need to DM us privately if you do end up winning, because I am under the impression here that you're under age 18 and you will not be able to use League Safe as a result. So if you do win a spot, we might need you to just DM us how you plan to work around that.
You have us on Twitter, or maybe we win the spot for your dad or something.
Yeah, you need to be 18 to use League Safe, but we'll see what happens there. But anyways, quickly let's go over our teams, and then we'll get in through some of the questions on the site. We should probably rattle through these. I do have to run in about 45 minutes to an hour, so
that's fine. Because we got the site questions right.
Yeah. So the team I really started very, very young, and then I ended up kind of grabbing some value there with Metcalf, Ayuk, and Pittman and Connor. I would probably in a real startup be looking to move some of those players. Maybe not Ayuk because I think his value will rebound a calendar year after, but Metcalf in season, if he's producing, I'd probably look to move off of him. Pittman and Connor, I think will also produce a lot at the beginning of the year. I could move off of those guys, but generally speaking, I just tried to go for players that I think can accumulate value in the long term. And then Danny, you got your team right here.
Yeah, so my team kind of built a Bush style team is the best way to describe it, because I usually draft young out of these startup mocks, but figured, kind of give you guys a perspective of how it would look like if I were to build a team that I would expect to win in year 1. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, feel very confident obviously about that quarterback core, 2 top 8 quarterbacks in my rankings this year. Travis Hunter, Breece Hall, obviously filled out my wide receiver depth in the mid rounds. Yeah, sure, you can make the argument maybe you want some more point production than Travis Hunter might bring this year. However, I have him ranked as a top 20 receiver in my best ball rankings, and he was the clear best player on the board. Breece Hall, we're both extremely high on, both in terms of best ball and dynasty, in terms of his current valuation. The guy that's going at the end of the 3rd round in best ball, yet he should be going much higher. I think we kind of made that point home in the 10 players we can't stop drafting video. Obviously, those wide receivers mentioned, wide receiver 2 projections, both all of them kind of in their mid-20s. Josh Downs being the youngest of that core. David Njoku, top 5 tight end production in the last 2 years. Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I actually didn't realize I did this when I was on the clock, but basically you're just betting on potential point equity from the RB2 slot. Plus, not to mention, this would be the type of team I'd probably throw a second at a contending running back in season. Kyle Williams, just thought the value at the 11.6 was too high. Plus, he's more of a depth receiver that maybe I can use as liquidity if I want to buy running back production. And then filling off with Tank Bigsby and Rachaad White.
Yeah, no, definitely makes some sense there. Let's pivot over to I wish we could go over other teams if people wanted us to go over their teams. I don't really have time to do that at the moment, but we're going to go over some trade questions, some team reviews and stuff. Let's start with all the trade questions, and then we'll go over the reviews at the end here. Threaded has a late first and likely early second listed for these picks. So instead of early to mid first here, he says it's likely a late first and then likely an early second. So it's RJ Harvey and a potential late first for Saquon Barkley and an early second. I think this is very easily Saquon Barkley in the early second for me.
Yeah.
Like Harvey in a late first is just not enough. I probably would still rather have Saquon over Harvey in the late first straight. And the fact that you're getting an early 2 on top of Saquon Barkley, I think you're faded if you sell in Saquon Barkley for a late 1 and RJ Harvey.
That's an early to mid 1.
It says in the comment late first.
Oh, I was reading the trade on the screen, which said early to mid 1. Okay, if it's a late 1, then I agree with you. If it's an early to mid 1, then I would take early to mid one and Harvey for him easily.
I still would probably. I think that's about more fair, but I would
A top 6 pick in a class that we're already probably taking 6 of the first 10 picks in our Devy drafts right now.
I mean, in 2026.
What?
2026.
2027.
If that was an early to mid first, there's probably 2 players that are more valuable.
I'm faded. I thought that said 2027 early to mid first and 2027 early to mid second.
Yeah, no, I get that. I still think that's a little mystery boxy. I think if I'm selling Barkley personally, the way I look at it is that I want 2 mid first caliber assets.
Okay, the question that I have for you, though, it might seem a little, that's not enough now, but guess what? If you wait a year and you're in a position where you need to sell Saquon Barkley, you're not going to be getting offered that 2027 early to mid first a year time. Again, in this specific deal, because it's a late first and because it's 2026, you take Saquon Barkley, no ifs, ands, or buts. But I do think if it was a 2027 early to mid one, I think you kind of have to liquidate at that price.
Yeah.
Too much.
I guess I would still want to consult some of my league mates and see,
fair.
See what they kind of have.
I mean, let me ask you though. So hypothetically, if I were to say that was Christian McCaffrey in the deal, like I think there's a downside case. Saquon Barkley right now in a year's time is valued where Christian McCaffrey is right now.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of wish casting. I
don't
disagree that it's likely that happens. I don't think I'm not of that opinion that you are of. I mean, Saquon Barkley, you get a top 3 redraft running back, you should get at least 2 ones for him, just point blank period, in my opinion.
For a 28-year-old?
Yes. Saquon Barkley, who is going to play probably another 2 to 3 years at a very high level, you need 2 ones at least for him. And RJ Harvey is not a 1. He's a specific player. And he's also probably worth a late 1.
Maybe I just disagree on the valuation of a guy that I would be taking where...
I just think you're anti-Barkley a little bit too much.
I wouldn't send 2 unprotected first for a 4th round startup pick.
I mean, I don't have him ranked in the 4th round, so.
Where do you have him ranked?
He is, hold on, I'm trying to get this stream to work right now. I have Saquon Barkley in my Dynasty startup rankings. God, everything's fucking glitching on me right now. In my startup rankings, Saquon Barkley is at 36. So he is, and there's picks in front of him. So he's like a late 3rd round pick for me.
Okay. I have him ranked at 44 with 5 picks. So 39 for me.
Yeah. I'm just not, I'm not willing to just give up a guy who's that productive personally.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Shout out Arthur.
Yeah. Anyways, trade question here from 6 Lack Cat. Hey. Classic 6 Lack. Great rapper. 6 Lack. Yes, startup league, I already flipped my 20. So he already flipped his first in this situation. He would be giving up Jaden Daniels and Tedero McMillan for Burrow, Breece Hall, and Harrison. This is really interesting.
So if we look at our startup rankings right now, what's the discrepancy between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ted McMillan? They're literally back-to-back in my startup rankings.
In my wide receiver rankings, they are back-to-back. If you wanted to prefer McMillan slightly over Harrison, that would be totally fine to me. But I do
the nuts and bolts is... Would you take Burrow plus Breece Hall for Jaden Daniels? And to me, I wouldn't.
I would, but I also have Burrow at 5 overall. So I'm higher on Burrow, the asset. Like to me, I think Burrow versus Daniels is not that far off of a valuation.
Let's take a look at his team quick. I just want to see what the running back core is. Obviously, we're not going to give a team review, but I am curious.
So this is his team here, and he said he gave up his 2026 1 as well. So you're kind of pigeonholed into competing right away as well.
Right. And what's the team he's trading with, quick?
This guy, he'd be giving him McMillan and Daniels, and he's kind of just building some good startup liquidity there. This is a new startup, so you can see like everybody's pretty even.
So I don't mind the premise of the deal. However, the one counter that I would send to this guy, can you get Jerry Jeudy tacked up on this? Because if you can get another wide receiver you feel comfortable with for your depth to compete with, I'd be willing to give up the youth factor and the potential value accrue of Daniels. Yeah, I think that's fine. Would you, if he said, if I give up Jerry Jeudy, you have to give me your 2026 too, would you do it? I'd be comfortable doing that, especially knowing you're contending, you're contextualizing contextualizing that as probably a 209, a 212 because it's a fresh startup and you just have so much win now equity. So I would do the counter and I would add Judy to that side. And again, if you have to throw in a second to get that done, or maybe if he says a second, then you say a third, like try to wiggle room in terms of the overall price because you are the one buying point production. So he's the one that wants to be doing it from a value gain perspective. I would try to see if I could squeeze a little bit of production more.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to give him Kyle Williams or something instead of a second, just to get that deal done if you could possibly do it. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it as well. I think that for me, the Burrow versus Daniels tier break is not that sizable. And Harrison and McMillan's a wash, and then Breece Hall is worth picking up for me.
I agree. Also, Smooth, that is mental. I'm anti-age and anti-old player, but Barkley and Chuba, you got for a single 27, 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. The Joe Dirt here. We got
classic.
Yeah. Start 2 tight ends. So 2 tight end start league. So you're getting McBride, but you're paying an early to mid first Chase Brown and Brenton Strange. He says he has Loveland, Ferguson plus backups. Again, 2 tight end, half tight end premium league. Bucky, Hampton, Walker, B. Rob are the other running backs. I think you can afford to move off of this package for McBride, given the league settings that you have.
You get the 1.5 tight end premium, and it's a 2 tight end league. On top of that, who do you say is Loveland's his other tight end?
Loveland, Ferguson. I'm assuming Jake, maybe Terrence, but I'm assuming it's Jake Ferguson. Let me just check. Yeah, like it's Jake Ferguson, Sinnott, Brenton. I mean, you're giving up Brenton Strange deal, Elijah Arroyo. Like, yeah, I would do this, man. In a 2 tight end league, like having like if Loveland hits, you're gonna have the best tight end duo in your league. Like unless the Bowers owner has fucking Laporta too or something, you're probably. I mean, like Bowers, Johnny.
Maybe if
you're gonna be chilling.
I would be willing to do this deal again. Maybe you're willing to convince him to take Walker instead of Chase Brown because I have Chase Brown higher ranked in my redraft rankings, but they're comparable enough dynasty assets to the point where if he just says, "Nah, I need Chase Brown in this deal," I'd still feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I agree. See if he'll take Walker instead of Chase Brown, that would be the addendum that you can make there. It's surprising that Walker is actually younger than Chase Brown, but I do
a couple months younger.
Yeah, I think they were born the same year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Trey McBride's definitely worth it in a 2 tight end start, point blank there. And then Baduke's alter ego. QB Daniels, May, running backs Bijan. Okay, so we could see his whole team here. He's just listing it. He'd be receiving Justin Jefferson, Kyle Pitts, Tony Pollard in exchange for St. Brown McBride. I want St. Brown McBride there, to be honest. I don't even really think that's close. Like, as great as Justin Jefferson is, there's not this big of a discrepancy between him and St. Brown. And McBride is just so much clearly better than the rest of the players in this deal to me.
What are you starting? How many?
I don't think there's any possible way you could convince me that St. Brown and McBride's not the better side of this deal. Pollard and Pitts?
It's not even just, it's just about.
Well, I mean, he doesn't. So for some reason, I can't fetch his team, but he does list the rest of his team here. And this looks like a pretty competitive squad.
Oh, that's fucking.
And it looks like this is the deal that's on the table for him to do. He's not actually, like, he's in possession of McBride and St. Brown by the looks of it.
I think I would take Amon-Ra and McBride, but that's a little bit closer for me just because Jefferson's just such a fucking elite cornerstone.
I just disagree, man. I love St. Brown.
You can disagree all you
90% of Jefferson's value, man. Like, he's not that far off to me.
I would need a first on top at least.
Okay, but like, would you, if that's the case, would you do?
No, I agree. The
McBride.
The answer's the McBride Amon-Ra side. I just needed a second to think about it first.
Yeah.
No, that's tough.
Yeah, that's
you just see the name Justin Jefferson, you're like, fuck.
I know you get excited about Justin Jefferson, but yeah, St. Brown McBride.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a dynasty startup, are you going 109, a 14th round startup pick and a 12th round startup pick, or are you taking the 207 and the friggin', I have McBride low for what it's worth too. I have McBride at 35 overall. I bet you many people view him as a 2nd round asset. So like, you're getting 2 2nd round assets for a late 1st round asset here. Like, that's the way I look at this trade. But anyways, Cole Whitty here says the 2026 first would be late. My team is first down. He lists as well. So that first is expected to be late, not early to mid. Jaden Daniels, T. Higgins expected late first for Michael Penix, Jamar Chase, Trevion Henderson. I mean, Henderson and Higgins are back-to-back in my startup rankings. So to me, that's about a wash. I don't know. Do you think T. Higgins and Henderson's about a wash?
T. Higgins and Henderson. Yeah, about a wash. And then it's Penix plus Chase for Daniels plus a first. Personally for me, I value Penix about the first, and I have Daniels ranked higher than Chase. So I would take the Daniels side here.
Yeah. It's a late first, by the way, if you didn't see that.
Okay. Regardless though, even still, like Penix, people are higher on Penix than I will be. That's basically where it's at.
Yeah.
It's a close deal.
It is tough. Daniels is the best asset in the deal. The question is how much more valuable is Daniels than Chase? Like that's where you're going back to. And he said his team is first down. I just want to check kind of situation that he's in. Yeah, I mean, like he needs a quarterback bad. And he already has Lamb in London. So like when you contextualize his team, you're getting rid of Chase, but you already have Lamb in London, and you don't have a franchise quarterback on this roster at the moment. So to me, getting off of Penix and going to get Daniels really does make sense.
In this specific situation with that quarterback core, yeah, go and get Daniels.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty fair trade though, relatively speaking. I think it's a pretty fair trade.
Yeah. And this is the thing too, like you can very well think Penix will take the step, but also I think even if he does take a step, I would value him about that first right now. Even if he takes a step, I think that about like bridges the gap between Chase and Daniels.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cole, again, different question, I'm assuming here. This is the same team, I think, by the looks of it, because I see Lamb and Penix.
So probably two different options, maybe?
Yeah, two different offers on the table. Yeah, it is the same team that he has this offer for. The other offer would be Lamar Jackson, A.J. Brown for Michael Penix, CeeDee Lamb, Hawkinson, and an early to mid he says pick is late. So a late second. So let's take a look where your tight ends are at. So you don't really have a tight end if you get rid of Hawkinson, though, is the problem.
See,
like if you already had McBride or something, that would be one thing.
Can we compare the deals real quick? I just want to take a look. Okay, so Penix, Lamb, Hawkinson for Lamar and AJ Brown. What's the other one?
The other one is Penix, Henderson, Chase for Daniels, Higgins.
I think this deal is much superior to the other one.
Yeah,
because Daniels and Lamar are same valuation for me. And then it's AJ Brown versus Higgins in a first. And you have to give up Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And the difference is just keeping Lamb versus keeping
Well, you keep
Chase.
Henderson in this deal as well. I mean, you don't get Higgins, but you keep Henderson. So given his running back core, let me just check, because if the running back core is not in good shape, I like this 3-sack RBs that you have too. That's the tough thing.
Can you give me the two sides quickly? So I'm going to punch both sides into Flock and compare the assets that you're giving up versus what you're getting.
So the
issue is you're not giving up the same assets.
No, you're not giving up the same assets. Again, let's just say how, like out of 10, what kind of trade is this for you? This is to me like a 7 out of 10 trade. I don't think you're fleecing the guy. I think you're getting a pretty solid deal. Like you're giving up Henderson, but you do have Hampton and Genty already, plus some other young guys. You're giving up Chase, but you do get Higgins. So from a production standpoint, it's probably not super, super far off because Higgins is going to produce at a high level. And then Penix, you're getting the 1 for insulation versus getting giving up a 2 in the other situation there. And Jaden Daniels is, to me, because you have young quarterbacks. So like the other thing that about his team is that he gives up Penix here, but he has McCarthy as his other quarterback. And if McCarthy hits and you have Daniels instead of Lamar, you have 2 guys long-term for the future.
Yeah.
Locked down.
Yeah. I think just looking off of it too. You lose Henderson, but you're getting back Higgins. Go to this other deal quick. But you don't get the first. So really what it boils down to, so Higgins plus the first versus AJ Brown. And then you would have to give up Hawkinson in a second.
Yeah, like you're really screwed at tight end if you give up Hawkinson too. Like that's the other thing. Like I think I like this side better. I mean, I think that if you're getting Lamar Jackson, it's probably fine for this deal as well. But I like the other deal better. So I would not accept this deal, and I would accept this deal here. So that would be the direction I would go. Also, Big Laughter. He submitted that question. It is a flea flicker question, so we are going to have to do that offline because, of course, this is going to glitch on me again. Jesus, I guess it was already answered. So we do have a couple more questions, a couple team reviews that we have to get through here. Again, Big Laughter. If you are watching this, we will answer that one for you offline, just because for flea flicker purposes, we just can't answer that on stream because we can't pull up Flea Flicker and all that kind of stuff. And for those of you guys wondering, what formats and what platforms actually work with the My Teams feature, I believe it is just Sleeper and ESPN. I do not believe that My Fantasy League or Flea Flicker or Fantrax or any of those platforms work with it. But getting into the first team review that we have Chef 1322. He said, fellas, hit the injury bug last year, second year of the league. Start 2 tight end league to acquire. Hard to acquire tight ends. What moves should I make? Trying to move Kyron, but I have no takers right now. I moved Jaden Reed plus a second for the extra first that he have in 2026. So that's a pretty good move there. And then a lot of guys listen to DD Fantasy. So Destination DEVY, I'm assuming he's referring to. Ray GQ. Chef, what is his team name? CIA Bees. Okay. This is his team that he's looking at.
He's in a league with me, Chef.
Is he?
He's in the Lotso League. So I believe it's the same Chef. It should be. I mean, let me see. Lotso League.
Chef 1322 is his name on Flock. I don't know if that would be his name on Sleeper necessarily.
Chef 1322, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he's in a league with you, obviously. Yep. He said hit injury bug hit him last year. Obviously, he's talking about Rice and Ayuk and those type of guys. And Tua, I guess, as well, and Richardson. This is a kind of mid all-around team when you look at it. I mean, there's not a whole lot of cornerstone franchise caliber assets. It's nice that you got the extra one next year and you have your own first rounder. I would definitely be willing to strip this thing down a little bit and try and get it, to the point that you're able to add some cornerstone assets. Because when I look at this team, I'm like, this team's missing a Genty, a Chase, something like that. Like that's what you're missing at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree. At this point, like you said, can you try and liquidate all of the players that will give you production this year? Because I do think this team needs one more year to, regain some more assets. Like, for example, JSN, how many first equatable value can you get you? Rashee Rice, if he starts the season and he's the clear, or even in the offseason, maybe there's reports, okay, he's getting healthy, he's fully healthy, Mahomes is looking upon him as his number one right off. Like, if all that buzz starts coming and the dynasty market raises him to, like, I don't know, wide receiver 13 in dynasty rankings, which is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, you can liquidate him at that cost. Zay Flowers, if you can get, top 20, top 25 level value for him, would be reasonable to do. Brandon Ayuk's probably somebody you would want to wait until in season. There's a report that potentially he could be added to the POP, meaning that he won't play at least until week 5, possibly won't be full 100% until week 8. If that's the case, if week 9 or week 10, he finally looks like himself and he has a 120-yard, 2-touchdown game, maybe at that point you can liquidate back. Basically, the point of this team, and I mean, Kyron speaks for itself. You don't want to run him back.
He's
like
trying to sell Kyron. He just said he's having a hard time selling him right now.
Yeah, which you won't be able to right now. You would have to wait till in season, basically,
or until he signs.
Yeah, either or. Your goal, like Bush alluded to as well, I've alluded to, is liquidate as much as you can and retool through youth. Like that's really the simplest way I can say it.
Yeah, the way I would go about this team is once I sell Kyron off of it, I would basically take zeros at my running back and tight end spot. Like I would want only Mason Taylor and Ben Sinnott as my tight ends on this roster, realistically, because they're young guys, right? If you're able to sell off Evan Ingram and Dallas Goedert and Brenton Strange has some hype because of the whole Jag situation, sell those guys off, sell off Kyron Williams, and then you're going to lose a lot of games because you're realistically only starting quarterbacks and wide receivers all year. Like you're going to be starting Mason Taylor as your tight end 1 and Dylan Sampson is your RB1 and Audric Estime is your RB2. So you're going to probably lose a lot of games as a result of that. And then I think you'll be able to recuperate running back and tight end talent, because your tight ends will be, starting to get better and, getting a little bit older, and tight ends take some time to develop. And then also next year's class, it appears to be, I've now uploaded the running backs, the wide receivers, and the tight ends into the prospect model. It appears the strength of next year's class is running back. So it looks like you should be in good shape to be able to replenish your running back core in next year's class. So that's probably what I would do. Like, I'm not actually really in a big rush to sell JSN, Rashee Rice, Flowers, Ayuk, because they're all receivers. First of all, some of them are young and 2 of them are coming off of major injuries. So you might not get the value that you're looking for.
Sure. But the issue for me there is if you hold on to those guys, like there's no sugarcoating. You're ranked on the 7th on the analyzer. I'm assuming if you go to the top 3 teams, comparably their bar is going to be higher. Can we go to the graph quick?
Yeah, I mean, this maybe he said it's his second year of the league, so nobody's got like a monster or anything.
Well, let me take a look. Who's number 1 in this league? ASU Sun Devils, because his valuation bar in the top 3 are pretty high.
He's being carried by some elite assets though.
Yeah. Which is going to happen, though. The point is, like, realistically, this year, do you think he can win with his team? Because if he can't, why not get on the process early and try to make yourself into a juggernaut?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting. That's what I'm suggesting. Strip your running backs and tight ends so that you can secure Jeremiah Love next year. And I mean, maybe inquire with this guy. Like, you have good depth pieces and whatnot. He has Hunter and Thomas. Some people don't like that shit. Maybe you could go after one of those two guys, hoping that you hit big on your superstar wide receiver.
I don't think he's in a position to consolidate, though.
No, he's not really, but this guy might be able to sell Hunter at 90 cents on the dollar because he already has BTJ.
If that's the case, if you can rip someone off, be my guest. For me, when I'm looking at it, though, your path to getting elite assets is strained right now. The only way you can get elite assets on this team is by drafting them. So for me, if I can liquidate what I have right now, take a couple years of punting, get my pick to 101, 102, and build back up my green tag players, like that, for me, I don't want to ask the question, like, I'm not 100% sure if I can fully compete in the next 2 years. If I'm already thinking that, I would much rather be proactive. And some people might say, well, you're forfeiting, a year or two of buying. It's like, I'm willing to do that if I know by year 3, I'm in a position where I can put myself into a monster situation. And I've done that. I mean, you've seen me do that in basically every league.
I have. I guess the difference is that I see the path that you like. Once, let's say you sold Kyron, Ingram, Goddard, even like Tua, Richardson, guys that are just short-term assets. Let's say you sell off those guys and you have a bunch of extra 2s, maybe a future 1 because you packaged a bunch of stuff together or whatever. I'd feel pretty good about once you add in running backs in next year's class and your young tight ends, Mason Taylor, Ben Sinnott, those guys developing. JSN and Rice have green upside, in my opinion. Both.
I don't see it.
Rice definitely does. And
Rice does. I
think JSN with another great season of 150 plus targets will probably be more so valued as a top 10 to 12 dynasty receiver than a top 15 guy like I have him right now.
Well, what's his path if JSN, by the way, goes after Lab McConkey in underdog drafts? If Lab McConkey even has the exact same year as JSN, he's going to be higher valued. But I'm just saying generally, the people are going to fluctuate. Guys get older. AJ Brown, because he's a year older, maybe drops out of that range and all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't have AJ Brown in that range.
Right. But I'm just saying, like Pearsall, Kyle Williams, I actually kind of like those guys as like upside swings that you have given their price tags. Like, I don't think this is a team where I'm like stripping everything down. My point is that I'm tanking my running back and my tight end position this year, letting those guys develop, whoever does develop for me, and then adding mainly running backs in next year's class. And I do think you could be in a house money situation because I think another great year from Bo Nix, he's going to be a green asset at quarterback too. And
maybe, but he's more volatile than the other.
Tua Tagovailoa, Dart. I think between those guys, you'll be very much fine at running back or at quarterback. Sorry. I just want to strip the fat off of this roster for the most part.
Strip the fat off this roster, but quite frankly, I just think I personally would try to get as much upside as I can for this team. And the path to doing that for me would be monopolizing the next 2 classes. I don't see a path where this team is anything more than a first round, second round exit type of team, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we usually are on the same page when it comes to, is this a teardown? Is this a thing? I really do like a lot of the assets he has. Yeah, I'm higher on Flowers than you. I'm higher on Ayuk than you. Like, it makes sense why I'm a little bit different in that regard. But I do think with one really good tank season, you'd be ready to be a house money team next year if you play your cards right.
Yeah. And maybe this is just me being biased because I've had such success tearing stuff down, rebuilding it within 2 years, and it being 150% of the team that it was before I tore it down. Like, maybe not everybody is like that.
Yeah, this is just one of those teams to me that is on the border of being really good once you do make the appropriate steps. And he's already kind of on the same page here. He took Jaden Reed plus a second, got an extra first in next year's class.
I think that's perfect.
He's trying to sell Kyron Williams, I would assume, probably for a first round pick here. Like I said, if this team had an extra 2027 first,
but
2 extra 2s in 2026, an extra 2 in 2027, and Goddard was gone, Ingram was gone, Kyron was gone, Richardson was gone. Those type of guys were gone. I'd feel pretty good that you're just able to naturally replenish your 2026 and 2027 players into some running backs, into some tight ends. Maybe you hit on a big time wide receiver as well, and you'd be ready to go because the rest of your team's pretty young. And Ayuk is the one guy that really stands out as not really fitting, but you probably got to wait for him to be back on the field anyway to sell him.
Yeah. And I mean, that's also part of the difference. Like, you're more willing to compete with teams that are maybe a top 5 team in the league. Like, for me, it's like,
I think this would be a top 3 team if he plays his cards right and he hits on Jeremiah Love, a young running back later in the 2026 class and so on.
Based on the analyzer, it's 7th in value. So like, you're going to need to regain value.
He's also 8th at tight end and Mason Taylor hits and he's top 5 at tight end.
Sure. I mean, if everybody hits, maybe he wins the league. Like, I
like the stabs that he has is my point. At every position, I think there's upside for him to really, really gain a lot of value other than running back, but that's where his picks are going to go.
Yeah. If you're completely higher on his team than the market is, sure, maybe you don't tear it down. For me, it's like the market's kind of telling if it's sorted by your own. You're not higher than the market because it's sorted by your own rankings.
No, of course. I'm just, I like it. I think this is a team that has a good shell to it. It's not done. It's not complete, but it has a good shell to it. I wouldn't be ripping it down to the studs. But anyways, anything else?
You like it as the 7th highest value in the league. I was just going to say, you like it as the 7th highest value in the league.
No, I don't. I'm saying it's 7th now.
Okay, but like
it has no running backs on it. It has no tight ends of value right now. I'm saying after a calendar year, it'll probably be higher.
I mean, it's accounted for number 1 in picks, though. So it's not like it's not accounted for that he has the value to potentially fill that.
Right, but it's 11th at running back. And I think 7th at quarterback's also a little bit, skewed because he has a lot of quarterback assets. Like if you shed one of these quarterback assets too, like you could sell, let's say week 5, Tua's having a great season. You sell Tua for a 1 and a 2 in 2027 or whatever. Then all of a sudden you build up your pick bank and you're still fine at QB.
If you can continue getting above market deals, then be my guest.
A productive Tua will fetch a 1 and a 2 on the market, guaranteed.
He's not. I think at this point in the market, it'd be hard fetch to fetch a 1.
I'd pay a late first for Tua without thinking twice, to be honest.
Yeah, and that would be about his value.
Yeah,
right now.
But anyway,
like maybe he bounces back in season. Sure, you want to sell him by then? Be my guest. I think the team needs more work than maybe you're implying.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see. A couple good deals, and I like the direction you're going. But anything's on the table, realistically. But because both of us kind of have a split opinion on what you should do, it means that anything's on the table. If somebody offers you 2 1s for Jackson Smith and Jigba, then you should probably take that.
And just familiar that if I have a chance to tank, I will tank.
Yeah. So okay, let's move on to the next team, which is TG2G. I don't know what that other TJ Tuglogio. I don't know. I can't say names. You know me.
This may or may not be a brag team based off the flock analyzer, by the way.
Holy shit. Yeah, this will be a quick one.
So
Lamar, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Tua feels pretty good. Amari and Hampton, Trevion Henderson at running back feels pretty good. Neighbors, Hunter, Devontae Smith, Odunze feels pretty good. Tight end's a problem for you, but that's pretty much it.
It could be better. You could be number 1 in that category. No, I'm kidding.
He's number 12 at tight end. So, tight end's his biggest issue at the moment right now, which I can resonate with because all my best teams have this kind of tight end core as well.
You know what you do then? What does it cost to move from Caleb Williams to Brock Bowers?
Yeah. Danny's suggesting that you sell Caleb Williams? What's going on here?
Look at this team. Why wouldn't you buy Brock Bowers?
Yeah, this guy probably has Brock Bowers.
He has Laporta too. Be my dude.
This dude is definitely your trade partner, whether it's Laporta or Bowers. So how much does it cost to go from Caleb to Brock Bowers, or how much does it cost to go from Tua to Sam Laporta?
Exactly.
Because if you're able to make a move like that, then you're going to be in a much better situation. A wide receiver, you could also, in a start 10, you don't have a whole lot of depth at running back or wide receiver, but you do have quite a bit of capital still banked up with the extra 2 next year, the extra 3 next year, that you could make a move in season if, let's say, Amari and Hampton, Trevion Henderson are having great breakout years type of thing. This is the definition of, you have a monster in terms of value, but this is not a production monster yet.
Not yet. The one thing I will ask too, so we saw the Bowers potential, Caleb Williams plus, pretty easy, or like you said, Tua plus for Sam Laporta. Can we see who has Trey McBride as well? I'm just curious. Maybe you can get McBride plus for one of the quarterbacks.
This guy is Warren and Njoku, or Kincaid. Sorry, not Warren and Njoku. McBride. This guy's McBride, but he also doesn't have another tight end, so maybe he'd be wanting to hold on to him. This guy's more of like a competitive team too.
Is he though?
His receivers aren't, but his running backs, he has older running backs and older quarterbacks. So,
well, maybe he thinks, I guess, Baker's more of a production asset. I was just
Chuba and Brees more productive. Pacheco too. I don't know. This guy's kind of in limbo at the moment, but you could inquire about Trey McBride. I just think given that guy has Laporta and Bowers, you're probably way more likely to get a deal done with him. Yeah. Because he's probably actually motivated to sell one of those guys.
Yeah, I would definitely try to go after that guy first. The McBride guy would be interesting. Can you get McBride plus Brees Hall for Caleb Williams in a much smaller piece than Brees Hall?
Yeah, this guy's got a dumpster ass team too, but he has Kittle and Kraft would fit your build pretty well, and I don't think Kraft would cost you a whole lot either. So you could go after Kraft.
Kittle could be cheap too. Like you have two.
I don't think he's ready for Kittle yet. That would be my only thing with Kittle, is that he's got really young running back still and not a whole lot of depth behind Odunze at wide receiver. So I'd probably be more interested in a young tight end.
Let me ask you this though: if it's Kittle plus a running back for those 2-2s, and that's actually
does he have a running back? Would be my first question. I mean, is he giving you Mixon?
His name is Ass Wipers.
Yeah, I mean, he's also weak at wide receiver too. Like I think in a start 10, you got to remember that you have to flex one of these players. That's Giddens or McMillan or whatever.
Yeah, like it's clear to me, like once you liquidate your quarterback, so you're going to have plenty of depth.
Yeah, like that's obviously job number one. And he mentioned here, I'm trying to trade away Tua for a 2026 first, but everybody is scared of concussions. I'm also debating trading away Hampton and Henderson to lower my max points for. I wouldn't be worried about that. Those guys are young running backs that you can build around. And honestly, both of them project better year 2 and beyond anyways.
I can appreciate you for trying to tank your own pick. With that being said, you don't need more value on this team. You have value. Like people are trying to catch up to you in value now. See, the last team I said, okay, you're 7th in value. I want to recoup as much value as I possibly can, potentially hit big. You've already done that process. At this point, if you can liquidate some of your quarterbacks, like I said, into, like I said, a Brock Bowers with the Caleb Williams deal, or a Sam Laporta with the Tua deal, or you can get a running back tacked on top. Maybe you can get a cheap running back vet in the Sam Laporta deal for Tua Tagovailoa in a second or something like that.
Yeah, no, that makes some sense. Like, let's say, because I generally agree with this stance.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to sell Tua as well.
I mean, we just talked about it. You said 2020.
Like the only way you're going to sell Tua, A, is when he's on the field producing, or B, in a situation like this, I'm actually okay not selling Tua and keeping him as my third quarterback and selling one of your more expensive two young guys there with Drake May or Caleb Williams. Let's say this guy doesn't want to give you Bowers. Let's just say for whatever reason, he wants to sell Laporta. How do you get from Caleb Williams or Drake May to get Bijan and Laporta from him? That would be what I would want to go for. And like, maybe you can't get Bijan. Maybe he'll give you Chase Brown and Laporta. Would you take Chase Brown and Laporta for Caleb Williams?
No.
Okay. So would you take Chase Brown, T. Higgins, and Laporta for Caleb Williams?
I would need Bijan if I'm moving him.
I would take that. But Bijan, yeah, like if you could get Bijan Laporta from this guy, that would be what I would target. Using Caleb Williams or Drake May as like the focal point of that deal for you. The other thing too is you could sell Lamar.
I got one. Caleb Henderson for Bijan Laporta, and does he have a cheap running back after Bijan? Like, does he have
Chase Brown, Caleb Johnson?
Okay, so it's a little
Caleb
more
Johnson
expensive.
would make sense.
I mean, if you can get Caleb Johnson on top of that, yeah, I would go for Caleb Johnson. I was thinking, like, does he have like a
So you would rather sell Caleb and Travion Henderson for Bijan Laporta and Caleb Johnson than sell Caleb Williams straight for Chase Brown, Higgins, and Laporta? I would rather have Chase Brown, Higgins, and Laporta for sure.
If I'm selling Caleb Williams, I need a blue chip piece back. Even if the volume of assets is nice.
So that's the thing. Sure. You'd upgrade running back, tight end, and wide receiver for yourself.
But name me the blue chip asset you're getting back in the other deal. Like, to me, if I move a blue chip asset, unless I'm tearing it down and liquidating for picks, I need another blue chip asset back.
I get that. You get 3 needle movers at other positions. I think that's... Yeah, it's a needle moving tight end, a needle moving wide receiver, and a needle moving running back. Like, to me, that would be enough to do it. But he probably won't even do that anyways. Like, realistically, like most people would not want to trade all that for one player.
Not to mention, we're shopping in Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, you could also, the other thing too is, instead of Bijan, because you could use wide receivers as well. Like, sorry, you're covering the thing. I was about to make.
Sorry, is it this one? Yeah.
You could also try and sell Caleb Williams for, say, Drake London and Sam Laporta, where you get a wide receiver back instead of a running back like Bijan, or Brian Thomas and Sam Laporta or something like that. And
BTJ and Sam Laporta for Caleb in a piece is
I think generally that would be your market value. You probably would have to pay something on top of Caleb to get that done.
Well, I view it the market views Caleb and BTJ relatively similar.
That's what I'm saying. So probably won't get Laporta and BTJ.
But that's what I mean. I'd be willing to add back. Like, what would it cost then? A 2 and another piece?
Yeah, like if you did Caleb and a 2 for Laporta and BTJ, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, if that's the cost, and maybe you have to throw back like fucking, I don't know. He wants a 3 on
Jalen McMillan or something.
He wants
DJ
yeah, sure. Fucking
Daniel Jones,
Braylon Allen, because he's worried about the committee, and he's like,
I think the clear direction for me is stripping the QB position. I
would
want
you do
Tua as my QB3 or Daniel Jones even as my QB3. Like if I could sell 2 of those quarterbacks, I'd be fine with it. And having Daniel Jones as my QB3 behind Lamar and May or something.
I got one for you. What about this? Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones, and a 2 for Sam Laporta and BTJ.
Yeah, I think that's relatively fair.
I think that's about equatable market value.
Yeah, and I again, Bijan, you could also go after as well. We're kind of just spitballing trades at this point in time. But yeah,
you're shopping in Louis Vuitton, not Target.
Yeah, you're in a position where you have a monster built up from a value standpoint. You just gotta kind of don't drop the baby here and stick the landing. Like you don't want to get dumb and be like, oh, I'm going to sell all my picks and like go get Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara and stuff. And like maybe you could win in year 1, but if you don't win, it'll probably backfire, that kind of thing. So
based off the fact that he asked us, should I liquidate Hampton and Henderson and tank one more year with this team? I don't think his mindset is to sell all of his picks. But that's what I mean. It's like because he had said that, I'm like, okay, like I think he understands like build value in the long run. Like there's a reason why he got his team to this fucking dominant, right?
Dylan, shout out. It's Father's Day here as well, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
It's not just an American holiday.
Yeah.
But this is a really good team though. Like realistically, you get patient with this one, maybe add another couple pieces in next year's draft, maybe liquidate a couple pieces mid-season if you're still kind of tanking it. Wait and see what happens. Like if Hampton and Henderson are balling out, maybe you could buy something mid-season and really make a championship push. But yeah, dressing tight end would be what I would maybe be focused on right now because I don't see a whole lot of outs for you to have a stud tight end. As much as I like Sinnott, Gadsden, even Freiermuth to some degree, they're probably better off being your tight end too in terms of the bet that you're making. You'd rather have a locked and loaded guy.
For sure. Also, we'll quickly, do you have any other points on this team?
No, I think we should be good. And I don't think we've had any other teams. Okay, we did have Arthur submit one more team. So we will have one more review after this.
We'll do the brag team. I quickly wanted to show you. Shout out Garage and Bindles for the stream tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. When I saw the tag in this, I was actually laughing. Look at your boy in
Oh, you're hopping on a stream with them?
Yeah, look at the Ladster.
There you go. It's kind of heat.
Comedy. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, definitely tune in tomorrow night. Should be a lot of fun.
That's clean.
And you have your screen share, so let me go quickly add that back.
Here, I got it.
Yep.
Okay. Arthur said I didn't do a brag team for once, but yeah, lots of options here on this team. We can move on to Arthur's team here. Let me just reset this.
And like we said, big laughter. You did it on Flea Flicker. We'll make sure we get that to you off screen.
Yeah, because Flea Flicker is just impossible for us to break down on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Sunny 6 Black, the classic. My worst team by far. Got unlucky investing in Brooks, Tank Dell, Jaden Reed at their peaks. Tore it down a little last year. Committed to doing a second year. I'm pretty confident in the 2026 first I have. Hunter at 6, by the way. Shout out. I won't bore you with the McBride fleece. Who would you keep? Okay, so what is your team? You are just Sunny 6 Black. Classic.
Who would you keep? Okay, so go up. What does he mean? Who would you keep?
I think he's saying who would you keep as in I'm rebuilding, tearing it down. Like who would you keep?
Who would I keep?
As in, who do we not sell?
I mean,
Hunter, Bird, and McBride, Hampton, and May, and Murray seem like pretty much the guys that I'm keeping, realistically.
Literally, yeah, the top 2 quarterbacks, the top 2 wide receivers, Hampton and McBride, and literally liquidating the rest of it.
Yeah, like Reed pops up with a couple great weeks at the beginning of the year.
And I know Arthur has no issue liquidating his team. In fact, he is quite proactive in that regard. So appreciate Arthur for that as well.
Yeah, and you already have 2 first-round picks of liquidity built up here, and this guy is the 9th-rated team, and you have his first-round pick. He does have somebody else's first-round pick in exchange, and then you also have this guy who's the 10th-rated team who's kind of got a house of cards-looking squad here. So, yeah, like I would say at the very minimum, you're going to have
tack on a couple 2027 ones to this.
Yeah. Tack on a couple 2027 ones, but like at the very minimum, your 2026 ones are going to be anywhere between 101 and 107. I would say all 3 of them will probably be in that range.
Yeah. And maybe obviously this is a 10-team start, 10 PPR. So keep this in mind. Depth does not matter as much, which makes it even more easy for me. Liquidate literally everything and go after needle movers. Because if it's a start 10-team league, all that matters is the green label players at that point.
Yeah,
now, obviously the quarterbacks are going to be a little different because I value both those quarterbacks as like
it's a one quarterback that he mentions here as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then you could sell Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, in a one quarterback league, are you going to get a whole lot for him? It would depend. If I got a first round pick for him, I would sell him absolutely. But if you're not getting that, then I wouldn't sell him. Like I think you can find second quarterback to hold.
Can you move Kyler Murray, DJ Moore in a 2 for 2 ones?
Yeah, that's a good idea. If you could rip something like that, and yeah, like any pieces that pop up, Garendo's starting for the 49ers for a couple games, selling them. Darnell Mooney has a couple spike weeks, selling them. Jaden Reed has a couple spike weeks,
Darnell Mooney,
Christian
Reed,
Kirk,
yeah.
Xavier Legette. Pretty much everybody on this team is sellable. And like
I liquidate like Taco Bell.
I feel confident too that Hunter and Burden right now are your only building block wide receivers. But in a calendar year, I feel like one or two of the guys that you have later could be something. I'm not saying they're going to be excellent, but between Jaden Reed, Xavier Legette, Elikai Manor, Jalen McMillan, Tank Dell, Adonai Mitchell, Torrey Horton, like there's enough young players there that I feel like you might get something out of somebody. I don't know who it's going to be necessarily. I don't know if they're a sell necessarily when they start giving you that something. But let's say you go into next year and you have 3 or 4 building blocks at wide receiver plus all the picks and so on and so forth. You're going to be in pretty good shape there. And same goes for your running backs. I mean, like Hampton's your only building block now, but Sampson, Brooks, Garendo, Corum, Brashard Smith, like there's upside that 1 or 2 more guys kind of somewhat emerge.
Yeah, I would agree with there. Also, I saw this because obviously we're drawing the names today, no? Like
we're drawing the names in about an hour from now. So it's 1 p.m. Eastern. At 2 p.m. Eastern, you and I are going to draw the names for the DEVY League that we're doing. Again, one last time, I'll quickly make the announcement for those of you guys that missed it. DEVY League startup. We're doing it. We're going to fill it today or by tomorrow, hopefully. And then we're going to do the buy-ins, get everybody in, do the polls. It's going to be a 6-round DEVY startup. It's going to be somewhere between $100 and $200, give or take. We'll vote on that once everybody's in the league. It's going to be Dynasty. It's going to be Superflex, it's going to be DEVY. It's going to be Superflex. And then we'll vote on tight end premiums and all that other kind of stuff once we get into the league. And you can get in 1 free entry. If you guys are not site subscribers, you have a chance to get in the league. But annual Mother Flockers, code FSE, will have 5 entries to get in, 3 entries for annual Flockers, 2 entries for monthlies as well.
Yeah.
I promised to sell my first, second round picks of the.
We're literally doing the DEVY League. So if you want in, get your entries in now. Obviously, Corey, you have the Google form for it. We can link Jeff the Google form.
It's in the description of this live stream.
It's in the description. Yeah. So go to the description of this live stream. You'll see how to potentially join for the raffle for that league. Again, there's obviously going to be a lot of entries, but based off your tier, whether you're Mother Flocker, free submission, you will get allocated the number of entries accordingly.
Yep. And then a cocktail tier list rant. We could maybe rattle those off. Also, Dylan said, question for the Unks, plans for QB rankings, tight end rankings vid for the 26 class. I have the tight ends done. So I'm probably I think Dylan, what I said was I would do them both in the same video. I think because I'm building the quarterback prospect model and I just really started it this weekend, and I'll probably won't be done for another week or two, I would imagine. I'm going to I think I'll do the tight end video separately. And like, spoiler alert, it's not an excellent class at the moment at tight end. It's like, there's some guys, there's some names like, but they're like Terrence Ferguson caliber prospects at the moment, not, Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland caliber prospects. There's one guy that's a tight end, 1 upside prospect. I'll let you take a guess if you know who it is. It'll take you 3 to 5 minutes to guess.
Andrews.
No,
I thought I knew he had a production profile. That's
Jack Endries formerly of Cal, Texas Longhorn now is who Danny just asked about.
Kenyon Sadiq
is correct. Yeah. Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon tight end who was working behind Terrence Ferguson this year, who will be starting, who is 20-year-old true junior this year, did rate as the highest prospect in the tight end model because of some of the projectable stuff that we can expect going forward. But generally speaking, most of these guys are like Terrence Ferguson, Mason Taylor caliber prospects.
Also, I just thought about this. A cocktail tier list rant made me think, do we want, like, again, obviously if we have live streams where we have to go right away, that's not going to be a thing. After every like startup mock or underdog mock or whatever that we're doing, after we're done our reviews, if we did like a quick tier list, like for 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of streams, like, would you want to mix something like that in?
Yeah, we could do that. I think that would make sense when we're like these ones specifically where we're kind of just yapping. Underdog ones I like to keep a little tighter, but these ones specifically, we could probably do it. It could be an Unk rant. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big cocktail guy, to be honest. Like Maria, my fiance, is like huge into cocktails, like as crazy, like let's get the, hibiscus this and this syrup and the like herbs and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not a cocktail guy personally. I am very like my favorite cocktail is a tequila soda. Like that's a
okay.
cocktail in my mind.
Yeah, no,
I'm very simple. I like rye and ginger, tequila soda, rum and coke. Like I'm not a big give me a whole glass with like I don't even like I love tequila. I don't even like margaritas really that much.
I could fuck up a marg. I was just
I'm not a
about to
big
say, I could
margarita
fuck up
guy.
a
Like
marg.
I'll take tequila soda like any day of the week, or I'll sip tequila or mezcal like itself. Like I'm not a big like margarita or like my favorite cocktail in my opinion is probably mojito. I would say it's probably my favorite.
Mojitos are
cocktail.
good. The ones that I make the most, rum and coke, obviously a classic. When I'm out, I'll get a margarita. I actually got a blood orange margarita when I was in Guelph for my. I met up with my buddy, like I mentioned to you. We just went to this little pizza slot. I think Sugo Sere. Have you ever heard of that?
I've never been
In
there.
Guelph.
But
Okay, but you might
is
have
it
heard of
downtown?
Yes, it'd be downtown Guelph. Okay.
No, I've never.
But I'll get that when I'm out in public, like a margarita. But for the most part, when I'm at home, rum and coke. Gin and tonic is very easy to make.
Yeah, I'm not a big gin guy. I never have been. I don't know why. I'm not a big gin guy.
So the thing with gin and tonic specifically is when it's a hot day and I just like make it like at home. Like all I'll do is I'll add a little bit of the gin. Obviously, I'll add the tonic water, put a little bit of lime, put a couple ice cubes in there. I'll just go outside and it actually just hydrates me. Like it actually like just relaxes me.
Yeah. Gin makes me dizzy, bro. I get the gin spins.
When it's mixed with tonic, though, it like kind of nullifies just how the aspect.
Yeah, I don't like the flavor profile of gin. Like it just tastes like juniper, like flowers to me. Like I don't like it.
Fair.
I like the taste of like agave and like I like bitter and citrusy kind of drinks, not like sweet or like flowery drinks like gin is.
I mean, tonic is very like bitter comparatively.
Is it tonic water? I never drink tonic water because I never have gin and tonics, so I don't remember what tonic water tastes like.
Oh, fair.
Like I'm like a sparkling water and tequila person.
Okay, so it's not quite sparkling water. It does have a little bit of flavor to it. Like you can taste a little bit of sweetness, but like it's like not overwhelming, is what I'd say. Like you'd expect, like certain mixers are like overwhelming sweetness, like like tonic water compared to fucking Coke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
For sure. Top 10 marijuana strains. I haven't smoked pot in. I'm calling it pot now. I just said pot. I'm like full unk at this point. I haven't smoked weed in years, and I'm allowed to say that. We live in Canada, so it's legal here. But it's been so long that I don't even know if I smoked it when it was legal. Realistically,
really, for me,
it's been a while.
There's no specific strains that I'll seek out if I'm looking to get some. But for me personally, I'll just kind of look at what the terpene makeup is, look at what obviously the percentage is, kind of make that determination, obviously what the efficiency is for the cost.
Why are you talking about weed like it's fucking best ball pick?
You want to look for the steady projection that has a ton of upside to knock you out on the couch.
Yeah, so indicas, it's a low floor kind of strain or whatever.
Oh, dude, fuck.
But anyway, top 10 stocks. I mean, I know it's in our name, but wrong person to ask for sure. Don't know what the hell I'm talking about with that stuff.
Literally, all I did with my investments is I went to my investment guy and I said, "Hey, listen, I want it varied out in terms of the risk profiles, and I'm just going to throw in this X amount." Obviously, I'm not going to tell you guys.
That doesn't fit your brand, Danny. You should have invested all in startups that are going to go under a year from now.
I mean, respectfully, I don't know any startups that cost as much as the amount I invested. I'll just leave it at that.
But anyways, we did actually get one more question that came through. And of course, we had to do this while we were on Arthur's team. I mean, Arthur knows what he's doing, man. Realistically, like you're selling off spare parts.
With all the respect to Arthur, we started going on a tangent when you mentioned the cocktail tier list, and then he
asked the question. Yeah, he did say that. But anyways, let's move on to the last question. I believe it just came in under the gun here. I'll just refresh quickly.
It's actually a good idea. I like that.
Buy supermarket stocks. Yeah. I mean, why exactly?
Well, it makes sense because if you're going to talk about, potentially an economic recession, like you want to make sure you're.
Oh, because people don't eat out as much during an economic recession. Yeah, that makes sense. Didn't they? Maria told me there was like a indicator that that lipstick prices or lipstick or something indicates whether or not they're in a recession or a boom in the economy.
Really? I'd never even know that.
Apparently, it's like, look it up. I think it's lipstick prices is like whether the economy is booming or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, Rufio, I got that one right this time.
There you go. You didn't call him Roofy this time.
No, I did not. He's got 2 trades or 1 trade and 2 trade questions here. He said he agreed to the so he actually asked us this last time, I believe. He agreed to the Kyler Marv stack for Lamar / Tyreek, but is this taking too much advantage for the 102?
I mean, if he's this is just a morality question for you. Do you feel comfortable fleecing this brother this bad? Like, will you be looked at as the villain of this league if you make this deal? Like, that's basically my question to you. Is the morality of the league intact? The integrity of the league intact if you make this deal? Is my question. Is this a competent manager that is getting, good deals with other people, but maybe is completely high on Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr.? Or is this a league where it's like, okay, this guy's just kind of getting bent over every deal he makes? Because I think that matters a lot to determine the morality of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, this is like probably not even enough for Lamar, realistically. So getting the 102, I mean, maybe it's fair for Lamar in a vacuum, but like you get the 102 back. Like, I mean, that washes Harrison out of the deal. So
like, if the league complains, just be the hero that says, I see everybody's concerns. In order to even it up a bit, I'll throw him an extra second. Like if people were to be up in arms, then they'll be like, oh, you know what? He had agreed upon deal and he agreed to give an extra second for satisfaction. Because quite frankly, even if he had another second to the other guy's side, he's getting bent over.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy smash here.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next trade here. He said he is contending how to get the 104 plus a 27 first. So I mean, it appears that Rufio's in leagues where no one values picks. Like, they don't know what the hell picks are. Picks are like, fuck them picks. You got 11 less needs in your league.
Yeah.
Because this is a very, very easy smash as well. I mean, he said how to get the 104 and a 27 first. I mean, if this gets it done, this is an easy smash.
Easily, yes.
Like, I would do this for 104 alone.
I would too.
And he did say plus a 27 first. So maybe that's supposed to be a 27 first instead of a 26 first. But
yeah.
I mean, like, maybe this is his initial offer. If all I'll say here is, Rufio, if this is your initial offer, I would auto decline this and not trade with you. Like, this isn't enough for me. Like, if he's going to do this, then go nuts. But like, if you're saying, what should I offer him to get a 104 and a 27 first? Let's take a look, because that's not enough, in my opinion.
What the fuck? Yo.
That's
also, by the way, this whole thing of me fleecing a dev, Joe made the playoffs because of that deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, Danny traded Rico Dowdle for Jonathan Brooks, and Jonathan Brooks blew his knee out like 2 weeks later, and Rico Dowdle was like a borderline RB1 for like a stretch of time.
But you remember, according to the land guys, when I ruined the competitive integrity of the league for making
I actually hope that Zach and Badaki are listening to this right now. Who taught you guys how to play fantasy football? Like, I know they had a much better team than I did, but like, realistically, what are we talking about vetoing trades? Is that how they do it in Australia?
Is that what they do down under?
Yeah, like I got rinsed in this league, and you didn't hear me say a peep about that trade.
Oh, you got bent over the wall.
Yeah. I mean, I was 6-8, so realistically, my record wasn't that bad. But like, I came in last, so realistically, if anybody who's got an issue with these trades, it should be the guy who's getting destroyed on a weekly basis.
Didn't Rico Dowdle help Joe get Josh Allen, who in return dropped a 50 burger on me for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I can't believe Joe made the playoffs, man. That's the most insane thing in that league. That is the most insane fantasy league I've ever been in. The fact that A, Joe made the playoffs with the worst fantasy team I've ever seen assembled, and B, that I was 12th place at a 6-8 record. And, one start sit, every single person in the league was one start sit decision away from making the playoffs, one bad trade away from, being in last place. Like, everybody was so damn close that like next year is going to be such a disappointment, relatively speaking, because somebody's going to have 3 wins.
If you take care, this game against Joe might be the most outrageous game in terms of just overall box scores you've ever seen. He had players in his lineup who had zero.
Sorry, can we finish this trade question first, and then we'll talk about that? Just because I want to make sure we had a Rufio's trade question.
I mean, he's winning both.
If this is your initial offer, it's not enough. Let's see if we can craft a fairer offer than the one that he's talking about. Because I'm assuming that's his initial offer. Because to me, that's just not nearly enough that he's giving up. So
that's his team, right?
Is this his team here?
I remember the balance.
Yeah, Kyler and Drake May he had, or Kyler and Harrison, sorry, is what he had on this team. So you're getting the one, like if you do that 102 in Lamar deal, like you then have 102 in Lamar on this team instead of Harrison and Kyler Murray. What you would offer to get the 104 in 2020 and a 2027 first was his question. So, Danny, you're trying to construct an offer for the 104 and a 2027 first. What are you looking to give up from his team?
Well, first and foremost, you're giving him all of your junk with your aging Derrick Henry, your Jalen McMillan, like Mark Andrews. Like realistically, who's actively seeking out those players in the deal? And on top of that, if I got those players in my inbox for an offer and saw the 104 and the 2027 one on the side, I don't know how serious you'd be willing to make in terms of your next offer.
Right. So that's why I'm saying his offer, what again, if you can do it, is
Garrett
great,
Wilson.
but it's unserious realistically. Yeah, 104 plus the 27 first. Garrett Wilson makes sense. I was thinking Jonathan Taylor plus potentially to make a move like that because JT at least has a lot of name cachet. He's going really highly in redraft. Like I would give Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry for that selection. I think that
give Jonathan Taylor and Garrett Wilson for that deal.
I probably wouldn't give up that much
for 104 and a 2027 one.
Well, I have 104 is Ted McMillan for me, and Ted McMillan is only slightly ahead of Garrett Wilson in my dynasty ranking. So to me, that's about a wash. And then a 27 first for Jonathan Taylor is about fair. So it's I would maybe do it, but it's like a fair deal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or given the strength of his team, like I don't think that's a necessary deal that you have to make. Like he's actually a competitive team right now. Like I'd be fine holding Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor in that situation.
If you can liquidate for the 104 and a 2027 first, because
I think I would need more for those guys to do it because he's already competitive.
What if 104, like you mentioned Ted McMillan, what if this is the type of league where Travis Hunter's the 104?
Well, he's picking 102. Remember, he's going to trade Kyler and Harrison for the Lamar and the 102 deal. So he's going to get Hunter and he'll probably get Harrison. If he get Hampton, that would be great. But
so then let me ask you,
McMillan at 104.
What's easier to get the 103? He's going to have to ask this question. Would Jonathan Taylor or Garrett Wilson in a deal get him closer to being able to get the 103 and getting Hampton and Travis Hunter? Or would the 104 plus a little piece at that point get him? Because I think personally, 104 is a more appealing asset to somebody if they're willing to move down from the 103 to 104, as opposed to taking on a veteran, because that pigeonholes you to the exact type of team that would want a Garrett Wilson or Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think what I would probably start out with, if it's your initial offer, is let me check this guy's team too, because he needs running backs. He probably thinks he can compete. I would offer him Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry plus something else, and see if that gets you in the neighborhood. Because this guy, if you look at his team, Danny, look at his team through the eyes of a casual fantasy player. Would you think as a casual fantasy player you can compete with Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor added to this team?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying I think you don't have to give up Garrett Wilson. You could probably trade Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry him for the 104 and a 27 first. And if you had to add in something to get that done, I'd be willing to do it.
Hey, if you can get it for cheaper, be my guest. If you can move some of those win now pieces like JT, like Derrick Henry, or
we got to keep in mind the context that he's getting a Hunter and fucking 102 and Lamar Jackson for Kyler and Harrison. So
but that's what I mean.
It should be possible that he can do these.
Like if you can, be my guest. Basically, what I'm saying. But that would be the general basis of the offer that I would construct. But yeah.
For sure. So, going back to the original trade, again, if you can do this, easily the 104 and the 27 first side. This would be an auto decline if it was in my inbox, and I would want at least Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and a second to even have this conversation, realistically. So that's where I'd be at with that trade. I think we should be caught up in terms of questions.
I was just going to say, I looked back at the Flock League matchup, and it just pissed me off.
Yeah. Okay, so we are done on questions. But yeah, do you want to show the Flock League real quick? Because I do need to head out of here in a second.
This was the last thing I'll show. I know you have to head out, so we'll make sure head out after. But what the heck? I just shared my screen. Why is it gone? Okay, there. So as you guys can see, the Sunday night game was KC versus the Chargers. The Monday night game was the Bengals versus the Cowboys. As you can see right off the bat, Sunday 4 p.m. slate. Josh Allen, 51.88 points.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Go ahead.
Didn't you bitch about this long enough in the actual league videos?
Oh, I did. I'm just giving people a refresher. As
I
you can
know,
see,
just making sure.
the Dowdle that I gave him for free basically ended up being in the deal that got him Allen, who dropped 52 points against me in the week to clinch a playoff spot. You guys can see I ended up losing by 1.8 points. Yeah. Josh Allen, 51.88 points.
Look at his team.
Jordan Addison and Josh Allen combined for 90 of his fucking 132 points.
Yeah.
Combined for 65% of his fucking points.
Noah Gray, Calvin Austin, Wandale, Amir Abdullah, Gus Edwards, Blake Groupie, Keenan Allen.
Hey, guess what?
How the hell did this team make the playoffs?
Which goes to show you 2 players scoring 67% of his points pretty much. On top of that, Justin Herbert didn't have a great game on Sunday Night Football, but also Will Dissly got fucking injured on the last play of the first half. So just that stack alone connects one more fucking time I win this game. Another thing, if we look down, the Chase Brown and Brandon Aubrey situation. We're going on a Monday Night Football situation. I'm down by 1.8 fucking points with a minute and a half left in the game. The Bengals are punting. As you guys can see, a Brandon Aubrey field goal wins me the game. If the Cowboys don't score on that possession, the Bengals run out the clock. Chase Brown probably gets 1 or 2 more carries, ices me out the game. You know what instead happens? Amani fucking Aruarie wants to muff a punt. The Bengals recover. Jamar Chase scores a 1-play touchdown the next fucking play. So Chase Brown doesn't even get a touch. Jamar Chase scores on the next fucking play. I lose by 1.8 points in a playoff fucking game. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Would you like to be in my situation where I
would rather be in your situation.
Your clown Dak Prescott gets injured, and instead of making the playoffs, which I would have if I win that game, I'm now wearing Avery's face on my t-shirt.
Dude, I think me losing a playoff spot is a much worse situation than that because this was the week 14 week of the season. And I know that. I have PTSD. I absolutely need to see a therapist, maybe for other personal factors in my life than just this, but holy shit.
Also, apparently Arthur is a therapist. Shout out.
Hey, let's go.
There's no shot Arthur's choosing to listen to us as an actual real life therapist. But anyways, we should...
Wait. Arthur's going to be like, and how does that make you feel?
Yes, that is what shitty therapists do.
I'm not even joking you. So obviously, you know the personal stuff that happened to me. When I went to go see a therapist, I shit you not, I was expressing myself to this girl, and she ended off everything with, and how did that make you feel? And I'm like, are you just like refusing to fucking listen? Like, what do you mean? How does that make me feel?
Yeah, it's chat GPT therapy right there.
I wanted to fucking lose it on this chick. What do you mean? How does that make me feel? That my dad's fucking dead? How is it supposed to make me fucking feel?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And I would be remiss if I didn't say we're all thinking of you today, Danny, on Father's Day. So appreciate everyone, obviously, for the support on that.
Yeah. Appreciate that. And take care, though.
Yeah. We'll head out of here. Peace out, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Let's